Crying already. You've been online for a decade. How do you guys navigate being online and being a human being?
Here's something that we've never told you. We weren't sure whether you liked us or not. Raya's just with him for his money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what money? I was eating like boxes of live locusts and live tarantulas.
Frozen mice in a blender.
I got taken to court. I don't want to be like fighting for the right to eat goldfish.
So when you pulled the camera out, it was like there was a bully on the other side of that. Being online for so long, my worth is so tied to, do people care about me?
Yeah, she did it.
Delete app.
Wow.
Have we talked about this publicly?
No, we haven't. Where things got real deep was when I did mushrooms.
And I was like, when's this going to kick in? And then suddenly the room went sideways. It was like,
It was 10 out of 10 adventure. Libby got arrested.
oh, I'm going to talk to ChatGPT as a therapist.
Are you serious? Having kids online. Is this something you guys talk about?
This is a very controversial topic.
What is a relationship issue you're currently having?
If I thought it was chaotic getting ready to do these podcasts with my baby, our guests today also have a baby. We've got our moms on it, and we're hoping the kids are fine, but...
Hello, look at you. Bright red.
I know, I'm sorry.
I love it. It's so pretty, man.
Gosh, can I go down that street?
Is Bec coming, or?
Yeah, she's parking.
My co-host coming?
On podcast days, Eamon's been going to the studio early with Andrew, who's our AV guy, and then we're really excited because today, Emma is our producer, and she lives in the UK currently, but she was visiting Toronto, so she's here to record with us. Recording in progress. Hello!
Hello. I was hoping my co-host was coming. Hey.
Hi. Vlogs on vlogs. Look at you, Emma. Looking amazing. I just said to the vlog, everybody comment, Emma, moving Toronto. Raya and Louis are YouTubers who have gained popularity for their lifestyle and travel videos.
Over 12 years ago, Louis started his YouTube journey with his first channel, Food for Louis, and has since been called the godfather of daily vlogging by the godfather himself, Casey Neistat.
Together, Raya and Louis now run their own channel where they showcase family travel with their son Neo, community living, parenthood, wellness, and more.
A few weeks ago, Raya and Louis took a trip to visit us here at our studio in Toronto, and we discussed how Louis got taken to court over a goldfish.
Raya opened up about her challenges with motherhood, and they shared their life-changing experience with plant medicine.
We also talked about our decision to share our children online and how we're considering using ChatGPT as our therapist.
You'll have to tune in to hear more. Join us as we get to the root of Raya and Louis. Welcome back to Reroot. We're your hosts, Eamon and Bec, and this is a show where we like to get to the root of what it means to be a human being. We do that through conversations between ourselves and with really inspiring guests, and I feel like it's very rare that I get to say that the people sitting on our couch have literally inspired us to become the occupation, like to become YouTubers and to do the very thing that we're doing. I am so honored and grateful to have true friendship in these two. Oh gosh. What is
It is surreal, guys.
crying already. Yes. Welcome, Ryan.
We'll
I
get
can't
into
even
all
say
of
anymore.
it,
I was
but-
going to say a bunch of beautiful things about you both, but you already know how I feel. And I just feel so grateful for our friendship and that we can have this space to share the chats we have offline, online. I think it's going to be really powerful. So thank you. Thank you for coming.
We feel exactly the same, by the way. Like whenever we talk about visiting or anything, we're like so excited. Oh my gosh, it's going to be such a good time with these guys.
Yeah.
I honestly, I feel like I still can't believe we're friends. Just because we've watched you guys for so long, you know, and like seen you online for so many years, like grinding it out, like just trying to be YouTubers. And now that we're actually friends in real life and like I FaceTime you and it's just like, it's very cool.
Eamon still has his little fanboy era.
Of course.
going on.
I don't think it'll ever go.
Yeah.
Do you know what's so funny is like just over 2 years ago, we were having our wedding and we didn't know you guys yet, but we almost
invited you.
Yeah.
Well, because Kara and Nate met you guys and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you're going to love these guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
our friends Nick and Aubrey met you and were like, you need to meet Raya Louis. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
And you say that on your end, but I also had told Eamon because I was going through treatment, I couldn't go. Not that I was invited, but I literally had said to him,
Well, because Nate
you
was
should
like,
go
you
to their
should
wedding.
definitely come.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm down.
Here's something that we've never told you. I think before we connected, we weren't sure whether you liked us or not. because I remember maybe one of your accounts wasn't following us or something. Do you remember that?
No.
I remember that, and I was
Wow,
like,
Louis,
and
so
we were
petty,
talking.
eh?
No, we were talking. We're like, do you think they don't like us for some reason? Like, you know, when you do something and someone might just not like you, like.
Isn't it unbelievable what our brains do?
Yes.
Because here we are in love with you, being like, we should go to their wedding. We'll be best friends.
Yeah.
And you're like, maybe they don't like us.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have so many places where I want to begin, but maybe we begin there. This whole idea that we can create an entire story in our head about what people think or feel about us, and then putting yourself online subjects us to millions of people's opinions. You've been online for a decade plus. How do you guys navigate being online and being a human being?
And has it evolved? Surely.
How has it
Yes.
changed?
So for years, Louis daily vlogged. That's when you guys were watching. And I found Louis's channel as it grew to a size. I feel like once you get over certain number, millions of subscribers or whatever, the comments, it doesn't feel like this loving small family anymore. So I felt when Louis was vlogging, I felt like it was like a bully. So when he pulled the camera out, it was like there was a bully on the other side of that because his comments
because
weren't.
a lot of them subscribed before you came on the scene as well. So
Yeah.
they're like, who's this?
Yeah, and there'd be like when we moved to LA, people were like, "Oh, Raya's making him stop travel." Meanwhile, I wanted to keep traveling, and he wanted to move to LA.
Or there'd be
It was
comments like, Raya's just with him for his money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what money?
My goodness.
Yeah, so that got tough. I think at one point I just didn't really want to be.
Yeah, that was tough.
But then that's why we decided to start our channel, because we're like, let's start a new channel where everyone that subscribes is there for us. Like they want to see both of us. And now our channel, which is why I feel so safe showing Neo on our channel as well, because that feels like a safe space where everyone is there because they love us and they love our love and they want to see our family.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's our safe space.
That was a good move, I think.
Yeah, and the comments on that channel are just amazing. Like it's
so beautiful.
Yeah.
Just before we started recording, we were talking about this idea of our audience being resistant to change. Like the idea that we've started this podcast is intense for some people. And I don't know what that is, because when I'm viewing someone, I'm like, go on, like live your best life. But there's this resistance to change. So I want to go back to like, maybe we start with Louis and what got you into YouTube and how you decided to pick up the camera and film your life every single day, because you are cited by Casey Neistat as like the godfather of daily vlogging.
I've heard him say that. That's pretty dope.
That's a pretty cool claim.
You look so cool with all the smoke coming around you, by the way. The godfather.
Yeah, so I think it was like probably 2011, if I can remember. So when was that? 13 years ago? It started by accident because I was just bored with my friends, and this was way before I went vegan. But I had this like, they just knew me as I would eat random things like spiders off the floor and stuff. And I think that stems back to like, I grew up obsessed with survival, and I used to like read SAS survival guides. And even when I was 10, I'd go out into the forest for like 2 days camping, and I'd like, my friend reminded this when we were at our UK wedding. One of my like friends from years ago, he was like, "Oh, you made me eat like we have these tiny fish in the river called minnows in the UK, and like I was just eating them live out the river when I was like 10, because I was like, oh, this is a good meal." Like, anyway, so I was like known for that, just as a fun party trick. And then my friends were like, "Oh, we should film some of these videos of you eating random things." And I'd been to like Zambia and eaten live locusts and stuff. So anyway, that's what started my first ever.
Had you even heard of YouTube when we were friends? Were like, let's put it on.
No,
the
I'd watched music videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Didn't know YouTubers were a thing,
Right.
and to be honest, they barely were. It was this was like maybe 2 years into there being this kind of like remote corner of the internet, which was like mainly nerdy YouTubers, which I'm kind of nerdy as well. But so anyway, Food for Louis was the channel.
And was there a Goldfish incident?
Yes, so there was a few videos I did, and also another Canadian YouTube channel, Epic Mealtime. Do you remember those guys?
Yeah.
So I used to watch them actually. Yeah, it was them and the guy called Devon Supertramp. They were the only 2 YouTube channels I knew. And they used to do these big eating stunts, like eating like 50,000 calorie burgers and stuff, which I just found hilarious. So anyway, I was eating like boxes of live locusts and live tarantulas.
Frozen mice in a blender.
Yeah, all that kind of crazy stuff. And then
Do you just have the stomach for it as well?
yeah,
Sorry, I have
I guess
so. many
so.
questions.
I think I've got a really strong mental
Yes.
override, so I can do crazy things sometimes. So anyway, I got in trouble legally in the UK because goldfish are legally protected as like by the RSPCA, which is like the Royal Society of Protection Against Animal Cruelty or something. I don't know. So anyway, I got almost arrested, like a legal notice coming through my door. I got taken to court for eating a goldfish. And my stance at the time was like, I was abiding by all of the like humane animal slaughter things. Like it had to be, you had to kill a fish within 15 seconds of taking it out of the water. Anyway,
Which no one does. Like fishermen don't do that.
No. It was kind of stupid. And the whole thing was a bit of a, I don't know, like they took me to court, I think just to make an example of me because I was getting a lot of attention. I kind of won the case, although we kind of settled or whatever. But I think,
so had you made any money at this point?
Not a tiny bit. Like I wasn't fully like living off YouTube, but it was starting to get to the point where I was like, oh, this is
because like you were getting views.
I was getting views.
Like Andrew, even I was like, "Do you know who Fun for Louis is?" He's like, "No." I was like, "Food for Louis?" He's like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. So
wow.
So at that point, yeah, I was getting crazy views. Like I think some of the videos were hitting like 1 million views.
Back then was huge.
And back then that was big.
Yeah.
And my favorite part is that the main audience, his like biggest audience, was women from South Korea over 50.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
what a niche.
Yeah.
it was weird.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was like a weird year or two of my life where I was like starting to gain this attention and reputation of being this freak. And I actually went to like Holland to this like TV show, and I was on there with like human vampires that sucked each other's blood, and I was like, am I on the same level? And it was called like the Freak
What have
Show.
I done with my life?
Yeah, it was called the Freak Show.
Reroot. Am I a vampire?
It was on it was called the Freak
Should I
Show.
go vegan?
Exactly. I was like, this is who I want to be. Like, I was like, so around that kind of time, got taken to court, and I had this realization that I don't want to be like fighting for the right to eat goldfish. I was like, this has all got a little bit kind of out of hand. So that's when I saw a lot of my friends I'd made in the YouTube space were doing all sorts of things like bedroom vlogs, like little drama skits, comedy, music. And I was like, oh, I think I can do anything I want. And I don't think I want to keep eating roadkill and random stuff. So that's when I was like, why don't I start? I think I asked a few people, what should I do? Like, there's so much stuff I love doing. And someone said, oh, why don't you just do daily videos of your life? Because your life's super interesting. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool challenge. And I didn't even know there were other people doing daily videos. And there was only a couple of people.
Did you change channels? You started.
So I started a brand new channel. And at that point, I think I had like 400,000 subscribers on Food for Louis. And I was like, right, I'm going to reinvent myself. Started Fun for Louis.
Did you promote it on Food for Louis?
Yeah, I think a little bit. And then I also told all my other YouTube friends, just promote Fun for Louis from now on. Don't promote Food for Louis. So I think very quickly, within like a few months, I got like 50,000 subscribers, and then it just grew from there. And I remember so clearly the day where it overtook Food for Louis, and I was like, I've done it. I've reinvented myself. Now I'm more known as Fun for Louis. And that was like, started late 2012. 2013, I just got in the full flow of like just non-stop travel, nomadic life, just every opportunity that popped up. And I was getting like a few brand deals coming in, tourism boards, and it was just like I really felt like it was riding that first wave of the beginning of YouTube when it really took off. And it was no longer just like the nerdy corner of the internet. It was like when everyone wanted to do YouTube. And that was when it was a year after that we met. And immediately, and it was still, the wave was still building. And then I was like, oh, you should start.
That's probably where I found you guys.
You should start a YouTube channel. Like, because I was like, every friend I had, I was like, start a YouTube channel. This is the time. And even just me giving them a shout out on my channel would give them like.
So this is what I love about you is you've always had this aura about like rising tide raises all ships. And you've never seen it as a competitive thing because, you know.
Well, I did once, but I'll tell it. We can go into that. But anyway, yeah,
So
generally.
But, okay, so let's talk about that. What happened there?
I have always really wanted to learn Spanish properly, and we're going away as a family to Mexico this year instead of gifting each other. So I'm really excited to refresh my Spanish for this trip.
Sí.
It's just such a key element of human connection, and at minimum, I love being able to thank the staff properly and have those casual conversations. It means so much to them and to me.
Muchas gracias. Mi cafecito es bonita.
Enter Rosetta Stone. It's the most trusted language learning program available on desktop or as an app that truly immerses you in the language you want to learn.
The coolest feature for me is the true accent speech recognition technology. It makes you sound like a native speaker.
I genuinely think that you get by more than me because you have like this accent that you're willing to
Sí.
assume. And so it's such a key feature that they're going to tell you when you sound like a native speaker.
So don't put off learning that native language. There's no better time than right now to get started. For a short time, Reroot listeners can get Rosetta Stone Lifetime Membership Holiday Special. This offer will not last long. Visit rosettastone.com/reroot and you will get unlimited access to over 25 language courses for the rest of your life.
I think that's what's so key about Rosetta Stone is you have access to all of the languages. Often you pay for
Spanish.
yeah, and then you can't learn Polish.
And you get it for your whole life?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, head to rosettastone.com/reroot.
And learn the Spanish. I should probably start doing that more. I know like 7 words. But I say it with so much confidence. People are like, oh,
You
señor.
put the accent on in confidence. That's better than me who can conjugate
And then
the
they'll
verbs.
hit me back with like a bit, little. And then
Yeah.
all they're asking me is like, what country are you from? And I'm like,
Yeah.
Canada.
Head to rosettastone.com/reroot today.
I think for me, I really value like being different and having a unique thing that I'm doing. And I feel like I always strive for that. So as soon as I feel like I'm just doing the same as other people, that's when I'm like, oh, I don't enjoy this anymore. And I had a point where my friend Ben Brown, who I introduced to YouTube and I really encouraged for him to start up, he also started doing super successfully. And at the same time, we were both doing very, very similar content, which is fine. But I think it was just like, I kept on having to encourage him. Like, can you, I don't know, like put your own spin on some of the things. Like he started using the same music as me and everything. And I was like, you know, and I think it was in a way flattering because he was like, had seen this model working and seen kind of my channel as like something he was aspiring to. And we had this whole conversation as well. Like it was fine, but I feel like I hated. And then I remember it was like some of these like YouTube awards where it was like the travel award goes to, and then they had me and him like pitted against each other. And I was like, we're friends. Like I already feel like the audience pit us against each other. Like people would comment on my videos like, oh, like Ben's vlog was better today. You know, and I'm like, it's not a competition. And I remember when that travel award thing happened, I just went online and told my audience to all go and vote for Ben because I was like, I don't want to feel the competition. And I actually haven't felt that in years. That was like the beginning of YouTube. I feel like now more than ever, it totally is. Like you're such a unique person. People aren't gonna like stop watching you to watch somebody else because you're the same channel. Like people like people's individual personalities.
And I think that's how we grew too, is like we would collab with anyone, whether they're bigger, smaller. Like we were just constantly trying to promote everybody.
Yeah.
Because you're promoting the same eyeballs on the screen concept.
But I also like have always admired that about you is you're not competitive by nature, and competition to me is just creating from lack. So you think there's not enough out there, so you have to compete, but you can create from love. And we talk about this all the time. It's like love or fear, you know, and that's just a fear mindset that like, you know, maybe at that time you had some fear that because it was so similar, there was only space for one of you to exist. Or I'm not
but
sure.
But we've had like issues with friends that are blatantly copying.
Yeah.
And that's where it's just like, dude, like, you know, add your own spin. You
Exactly.
know, like,
it's like you want them to succeed, but it's like you would succeed more if you found your own.
Don't
unique
copy
path.
our thumbnail.
Yeah.
But
word
it's
for
interesting,
word.
like at the end of the day, what is that's happening for you in that moment? I mean, I should be asked this question because it
Actually,
hurts me
bothered
so
you
much
even more.
I think for me, it was like the creativity of it, the time and energy we would put into how do we shoot this thumbnail? What do we title this? And then for someone to just
especially because
do
we hate
a carbon
thumbnails.
copy.
It's like the hardest part of what we do.
And then it's like, well, then they succeed. It's lack.
We did copy your thumbnail though when our first video with Karen and Nate when we swapped the bus and the van.
Yes,
I remember,
you did.
but Nate was like, I'll check with them to make sure it's fine.
Nate was so amazing. I remember even when you guys were doing that video, he sent
Yeah.
us this whole thing that was like,
Yeah.
so we want to do the same concept. Like, how do you feel about it? I'm like, go for it. Of course, you know? And I do think there's a way to navigate friendship and
Totally.
copying, but it's not in that
I
sense.
think
I
if
don't
it's
think it's
if it's
copying.
like that, like Nate reaching out and everything was just like really sweet, and like
Yeah.
you know, he obviously knows there's like creative energy going involved and stuff like that. But
I think we should rewind a little bit because I kind of left off the story of me doing daily vlogs, traveling the world. I think you met me at a really interesting point.
This is
I'd love
what
to
I-
hear. I'd love to hear
yes.
from when you met me, and also like our romance, but also observing that first year of like what I was going through, and then what it
Yeah.
evolved into. With
So
us.
the
This
thing,
is, sorry,
Yeah.
this is why I love us, because
Yeah.
I don't need to do anything today. I'll just kick back. Louis asking the questions is perfect. That's exactly what I
I
want
just
to know.
felt
as
like
well.
I've been talking a lot, and Raya's just sitting there like, yeah, I've heard this a million times.
but you want me to talk about you?
No, just the story where it left off.
a little bit of him.
Where it left off. Yeah, a little bit.
We'll get into the dynamics of working with our partners in a little, guys. Don't worry.
Well, okay, so I was living in New York at the time, and it was perfect timing because I was like applying to jobs when I met Louis, and if we had met a week later and I'd gotten a job, I wouldn't have been able to start traveling because Louis, a bunch of his friends came down from Buffer Festival, and anyway, I joined them on this trip. But it was interesting with a daily vlog, seeing that behind the scenes, because that and the way we were doing it too, like we were in a different country every few days. It was like everything, there was so much going on, and you had a lot of pressure on yourself that you had to do something amazing every day. But every day is a lot. And so we would travel a few of us, like a friend group, and Louis would be like, guys, it's 2 p.m. We haven't done it. We have to go do something like right now. And it was just this constant stress and pressure every day. And then in the evening, you couldn't be present. Like the deep chats we've been having at the cabin, those would never have happened because the whole time he'd be thinking about editing or he'd just be editing. So it was like so all consuming for you. But at the same time, the opportunities it gave us, you know, the speed we were traveling at and everything. I feel like my 20s, because we met, I was 22.
Yeah.
So my 20s was like the most insane whirlwind. And I started my own channel too. So I did some of my own traveling, which was really fun. But yeah, while it was really fun, the depth wasn't there. And when you're living every day, you're on the daily vlogs, it's basically survival mode every day of like, what are we doing? Where are we eating? Where are we sleeping? So to be able to zoom out of like, what do we want out of our lives? Where do we want to live? When do we want to start a family? You know, all of these.
A lot of it wasn't our
questions.
decisions. It was like, oh, another tourism board wants us to fly to Thailand. Sure.
Yeah.
It was like the ultimate
Yeah, it was just saying yes to
Yeah,
stuff,
the ultimate yes man, which I think's a good thing for a period maybe. But then eventually like, I'm not making, there's none of this is my decision. I'm just riding the wave, which was fun for a period. But then, yeah, like you said, we got to that point where it's like, wait, hang on a sec. What do we want to do?
And community is so important to us too. So that was a big thing that we wanted. Community. So I feel like
This
that.
tea's awesome, by the way.
Oh yeah, I need to have.
Thank you. Which one are you having? Pumpkin spice?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, amazing.
pumpkin
Cheers. I wonder as someone, I didn't know you at 22, but what I know of Raya is depth and presence and all of these things, it sounds like, did not exist in a relationship. So was it the thrill of it all that like drew you to Louis, or what about it kept you coming back? Because it sounds like, to be honest, you were just kind of go and
Yeah. Well, I took a while to like commit to our relationship because I just didn't see how it fitted in with the craziness of my life. I was like, oh, how's this going to work? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, I'm not slowing down for anyone. So unless
Yeah.
you're like jumping on and going at the speed, we're not doing it.
Which you
But-
did. You
yeah, I
managed
did.
to.
Yeah.
You're
But
like,
also,
let's go.
I think
It was his biceps, to be honest.
I think I was able to get some depth. Like I'm well known for like asking questions. So any moment that I could, like drives were the best, road trips, because he's driving. And so I can, those were our best chats. But I feel like, honestly, like on plane, whenever I could, I would just like sneak in a deep question. And that's, because you asked me, I think it was yesterday or the other day, you were like, how did you know that you wanted to be together at the beginning? Because like he came in as a tornado, and
I was not in a good place.
No.
Literally the night we met, I was recounting like this weird summer I'd had where I'd had like a couple of flings with different girls, and it was so unlike me. And I was just like, I'd kind of like literally sat down from this whirlwind of a summer. I was like, what the heck? And then I didn't even know who Raya was or who she was going to become. So I was just like openly just talking about how much of a mess my life was.
Right.
And it was funny because Lily, who we just went to her wedding, who was trying to matchmake us, was probably like, Louis, like, what are you doing? She's like been bigging me up. And then I'm basically just like talking about what a mess my life is.
But I think my friend Lily, who planted the seed, like she'd been telling me for days that we were going to be so good together. So I think that made me want to invest and learn who you were. And then it was the next day we went on this long, so that's the thing. First, Louis was filming a time lapse of the sunset, which was like a 40-minute section where he wasn't vlogging. So that was
good,
like
deep questions in 40 minutes.
Yeah, you were like, the camera's gone.
Yeah. And then we walked back across Manhattan. And so it was like 2 or 3 hours. That's what really we're like, we have so much in common. It's weird. And it's worth seeing where this goes.
And on that walk, she was like, yeah, I just kind of want to live in a tree house. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
I was like,
we just kept saying things that we were like, what? That's crazy that you also want that. Yeah. So anyway, that's what made me want to try.
I love that.
Yeah.
That reminds me of when you showed me your moving to Costa Rica vlog, and you guys had literally manifested over and over again, we just want to live in a treehouse in maybe like Costa Rica. Maybe one day we'll live. And it's like over the years, you guys had just been saying this.
Yeah, we'd never been to Costa Rica. We've been saying, for some reason, we've been saying that's where we're going to live for like 5 or 6 years.
Wild. I feel like there's 2 things I want to unpack. Your ability to just manifest and jump into the unknown, I feel like is maybe a commonality or a similarity you both have. And then we want to get into Costa Rica and understanding what's going on there.
Yeah, we bought land in Costa Rica. Just for context.
Yeah.
Manifesting, I think we just don't, I guess we don't really have a limit on, and I think you guys are the same, on like what's possible, right? So like when we moved to LA, we just rented this massive house and we're like, yeah, we'll find people to live here. And we just did. And it was like
$9,000 a month. We just jumped in like,
Louis had to pay, was it 10 months up front? Literally, it was like all of our money.
Most of our savings. I was like, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it.
It was a sick house. I was super jealous.
What? I don't know this. I wasn't around for this era of,
it was a great house.
of your channel.
So,
oh my God.
This is the first house.
This is the first house. And we just...
The most amazing people moved in with us.
Literally, we found the best people in LA, and it was like our family, our community. It was amazing. And then we were...
And whenever people moved out, we always had other unbelievably amazing... Look, maybe everyone's amazing. Maybe that's what it is.
don't
But
know.
We
it
are
felt
all
like,
one.
It felt like specifically like awesome people that just moved in.
Yeah, like anytime someone moved out, someone was looking to move in that was just as amazing, or like just kept the vibe. It was just perfect.
And we never struggled to pay rent or get money in from people or nothing.
And I don't even know what most of our friends did. Honestly, still don't know. I don't know how they made money.
Side
They're all
note,
like just drifting around and have
because we've spent a lot of time together, and
Yes.
a conversation that has been brought up at the cabin is cleanliness and cleaning.
Yes.
So Louis didn't grow up with that, like basically at all.
Yeah.
And so we've seen that at the cabin. It's like, oh, Louis, can you like clean up your shit?
I've got a lot better. You should have met me when we first.
Well, that's my question: is how many roommates did you have, and how did that all work?
It was all right, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we had cleaners come every week.
I
and
think
then,
also I'd done a few community houses up to that point, and I knew the dynamic of, at least in the communal areas,
yes.
like maybe I'll bet, to be honest, you'd kind of like whipped me into shape by then, but I feel like communal areas, like you want at least a level of, so we had rules like don't leave things in the sink. Like if you're gonna like eat, just wash up all your pans and dishes like immediately after.
But also, everyone was like in their late 20s, early 30s. So it's not
I
like
guess that
a
makes
frat
a
house, you
difference.
know?
Yeah. And then also like our friend, I'm sure they don't mind me throwing them under the bus, but we knew the Yes Theory boys, and they had their house at the same time. This was like late 2018, 2019. Their house was horrific. I'm sure they'll agree. It was so bad.
That
honestly,
yours was like, oh, this is
Oh
clean.
no, it was the worst I've ever seen. Like a frat
I had
house.
to pee so bad, and I walked in and I was like,
I don't think
No
they ever
way.
cleaned it. It was like, and it was just like stuff sprayed across the walls. It was like sand on the floor.
It's
it was,
so funny because you just wouldn't even know to think about what the house would be like. And we
Yeah.
lived pretty clean, I think. So anything that's like a deviation away from really clean, we're like, ooh, can't do it. So I would not be peeing in the house. it sounds
I
like.
literally talked to Rye about this yesterday, that I I grew up in such chaos. Sorry, mum and dad.
We love
But I really appreciate it now because I don't feel like I need cleanliness to feel peaceful. I love it. I definitely prefer it. But like, I can be in all sorts of scenarios and like, it doesn't faze me. Whereas Raya would be like very, very stressed out if we were staying in someone's house and it was dirty or even messy. Yeah. Whereas my problem is I don't want Neo to grow up having to be like, I definitely think he'll prefer cleanliness and tidiness. But I don't want him to feel like he can't be in spaces which aren't like that to feel.
But you can go
peace.
sleep in the woods with him and make him feel comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the manifesting, one last thing. When we were in that first house, we loved it, but it was locked down and we were like, we wanted more space. We wanted outdoor space. So we literally sat down with all of our roommates and we're like, let's just write a list of what we want. And we were like,
we had a whiteboard.
Yeah, we had a whiteboard and we were like, okay, we want it to be in Venice Beach. We want a huge garden. That's like pretty much unheard of. On the beach. Like we had all this crazy list. So we're like, how is this possible? And then we're like, should we ask for 8 bedrooms? 10 bedrooms? Like,
yeah,
why not?
It was like with no limitations, what would our dream scenario be?
Yeah. So we just wrote down this list and then one of our roommates opened up Zillow and he's like, guys, 10-bedroom house on the beach, huge garden.
And I was like, no way. I checked Zillow yesterday. There's no way.
Yeah.
Literally, we were like, this is it.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m. We all jump in the car so we can go and like look over the fence.
Yeah, we're like looking over the fence like, oh my goodness, it's like the dream.
No way.
Did you vlog that?
I think we did.
Yeah. It was on my channel. It was on my channel. Because didn't we run up and like disturb Alexander? He was in the bath.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. One of our roommates, like we kind of finished and he went up to take a bath and then we found this house and ran up and he's like naked in the bath and we're all crowded around.
Yeah, we all burst into his bathroom and he's like laying there in the bath naked. We're all around the bath. Alexander, get out the bath. It was just like so funny.
Personal space. Sounds nice.
But then somehow we managed to...
Yeah, we got it.
Get it as well. Not only did we go and see it, like...
Yeah.
And then
the next day we all got our like fanciest clothes. We like got all of our hippie clothes.
Yeah, and then I made like a presentation to give to the landlord of like, and it had like a little bit of background on each of us and like what our dream was. It's like,
gosh.
And then he's like, okay, I'll rent it to you, but you got to pay 10 months up front.
No,
that was $20,000 a month. So there's no way we could have done that.
That's crazy.
LA prices.
Yeah.
But that was even different ways.
Well, there was 15 of us that could fit in that one. So that was crazy. Yeah.
So you still do community living sometimes in Brighton and...
Yeah, we have flatmates living with us now.
Yeah.
I think we just love it so much. And I mean, you guys are similar. Like you always have people coming to the cabin and you live in community.
Well, honestly, we talk about it like we don't know how we would ever not do it now.
Yeah.
Like living in the triplex and having, a Tuesday night be so social and not
like
so
one
planned.
of you is cooking, you're all cooking, and it's just
so much
beautiful,
easier.
really.
Can you watch Frankie for a minute? I'm gonna go do a workout.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest kind of issues that the Western world is struggling with is like depression, loneliness, isolation, and like I think it's because we were never meant to be living isolated in our just immediate family with like in a huge house with like, tall, high walls. Maybe you see your friends once a week. That's just not how. I don't know how you thrive.
How we went so off the path. Hey. Like it's like almost like independence became success.
Yeah.
Right. I have my own house, my own car, my own.
The bigger the house, the bigger the fence, the more successful you are. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, we're doing it right.
Yeah.
100%. We
were saying like there's been a lot of open houses in our area, and we just like to go and see like what's in the area, and we're always looking for a project where like maybe we could find a dive and kind of reno it. And then we were sitting around, and my sister-in-law is like the least
vocal about living with us.
Yes, okay. Right. So I know
still
she
not
does.
Sure she likes us.
Yeah, she's not like me. I'm like, I love you so. I'm just gonna take this moment to tell you how much I love you, right? And she said the other day after we looked at an open house, but you guys don't really want to go. Like, wouldn't you be so sad? I'm like, I would be so sad. Like, it would be horrible. I don't want it at all. Like, I really think that. We think it's a life hack, but we're just reverting to the way it was and should always have been and continue to be.
Well, I just read that kids used to have 8 co-parents, basically, that people that they would feel fully comfortable being with all day, like everyone helping raise. So 8 parents. And now most people, it's like one of the parents is off working and the other one is just alone all day with kids.
And then you have to pay a stranger to come and like look after your kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is necessarily bad, but I just think like that's the culture we've created.
We've just missed out on the point, I think.
Totally.
Which I think we all realized in 2020 when everyone was stuck at home and we're like, this actually sucks. Like this doesn't feel natural for humans to be like that. Yeah.
I want to talk about becoming parents because when we first met, we were all kind of like, well, you were pregnant actually when we first met, but still we were so like, oh, should we rent a house in Spain for the week then? And should we do this? And I feel like the four of us as parents still continue to embody spontaneity, but it's just different. Like getting us to this podcast, it's different. Yes. We have to figure out where the kids are going. And speaking of, so what has the journey into parenthood been like for each of you? What has it been like for your relationship? And so much to unpack.
Where's your kid right now?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it's fine. Journey into parenthood. I mean, it's something we've always known we wanted. And I think one amazing thing is because of the almost decade we had traveling the world and then the community that we had in LA, like we had this travel around the world and then like years of spiritual growth. It was beautiful. Lots of time focusing on ourselves. It feels like I don't have any resentment around things I'm missing out on because I really truly feel like I got to live all that. And now I'm so excited for this new phase. So that's amazing. The hard thing is how all consuming it's been, which part of it is a choice because we've never bottle fed. I've exclusively breastfed from the beginning. I've never left him more than like 4 hours.
We're still co-sleeping.
We still co-sleep. So it's all consuming, which can be overwhelming. And the thing I've mainly been struggling with is just finding a balance for myself. Like, and I still am figuring that out. And literally yesterday I was like, maybe I should book in a yoga class once a week. You know,
for her birthday present. It was her birthday 2 days ago.
Happy belated. I'm sorry, I'm not on social media, so I forget. I don't know any. I
But
love you.
for the birthday
I'm gonna do
present,
a verbal birthday card for you. Okay.
for her birthday present, I was like, I'm really bad at physical gifts. I'm like, oh no. Do you know what's funny? Your sister messaged me like, does Raya want anything for her birthday? I was like, oh, I hadn't even thought about that. I was like,
It's your birthday?
No. But anyway, I was like, I want her to have a full day of like, whether it's a retreat or like a spa day or something, because you really haven't had barely any time
break,
to yourself, have you?
Yeah. So, but on the other hand,
I'm impressed, by the way, when I like log on to YouTube and I see this guy's still booting around the world. I'm like, where's his wife and kid?
I've done a couple trips recently, but
so while that's been hard, at the same time, looking at our first year with him, and I've said it so many times, how many billionaires have spent as much time with their kids as we have? And every time you talk to an older person, whenever there's interviews with like old millionaires, they all say they wish they spent more time with their kids. The time they miss most is when their kids were little. So, and I know everyone, even people walking on the street, they're like, oh, these are the best years. You know, everyone says it. So I think as much as it can be all consuming and difficult, and I'm just trying to find my way of finding time for myself, I also know that we'll never regret the time that we're with him. So I'm so grateful that we have the freedom with what we do. And also our channel, like our life with him is our job in a way. So us, in terms of being spontaneous and going on trips and stuff, like that all helps the work, which is great. So us going on adventures with him and stuff is all part of it. So yeah, that's in my experience, I guess.
I think for me, I totally agree as well. Like I did so much with my life before becoming a dad. And I think I was very self-aware of when I was ready, and I was ready. Whereas I knew even 5 years before, I was like, I'm not ready yet. Like I need to do some other things, even though I was like so excited to become a dad. And then I think I've just fully embraced it. And I think it hit me really early on how fulfilling it was. Whereas I thought maybe I'd be like, oh, I kind of will want all these other projects to be happening. Which I still enjoy, but there's something just deeply fulfilling about being a dad, spending time with Neo. I also think I look at the world through rose-tinted glasses. So like, I'm just like, oh, it's 100% good. Like there's no bad.
What was it a bit of a like more or less than you thought, like versus before having a kid?
My little sister was born when I was 15, so I think I had a realistic expectation of what having a baby in the house was going to be.
Oh wow, that's cute.
So it didn't shock me at all. Also, one of my friends they've got a daughter who's like 18 months older than Neo or something, and they were like, oh, because you've been pulling all-nighters editing videos and having no routine and all that, that's been part of my life. You're kind of prepping ready to have a kid.
True.
So I think people that have like really set schedule and they have their routine and they get enough sleep and they don't stay up late, like that's when it can really hit you like full on. But I feel like
You don't need a lot of sleep, do you?
I mean, I probably do, but I can survive without without as much. But I feel like having all of that like prep, accidental preparing for having kids, like did help a lot for me. None of it's been like, oh my gosh, this is so much harder than I ever imagined. Like I just,
That was my experience.
yeah. But I think I was just like aware. I was like, I kind of know. I mean, those first few weeks, I don't think anything can prepare you for those first few weeks. That was wild.
Yeah.
But I also was like, this is the maddest adventure. Like, what the heck is going on? Like, like multiple
Who
hours.
gave us permission to watch this?
Yeah, multiple hours every night. Just like we are in the thick of it.
And then you invited a bunch of us to come and live with you.
Yeah.
You guys were in the thick of it. We're getting full
That
on
was
sleeps.
the
Like,
best thing we could have done, honestly.
That was great.
Yeah,
It
he
was
was like
really
2
fun.
months old. I think I still hadn't really breastfed out of the house. Like,
yes, you had it.
yeah, there was a lot we were still figuring out. But you guys moving, I mean, first of all, you're amazing, and you were all like cooking for us, and it was just like amazing. But also, I think for me, obviously, once the baby's down, you can't really leave the house much, especially for me because I was exclusively breastfeeding. So for you guys to be there, for me to have that like quality adult conversation time and deep chats, that was the first time I was like, oh, here's a bit of me again, you know? So I'm so grateful that you guys came. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We
this
love
was-
seeing like your life there and seeing it's almost like you were like 2 years ahead of us because you were pregnant.
Yeah, I was pregnant.
And so we were like, and all your friends in Brighton have kids, and we would meet for coffee, and it'd be strollers and kids everywhere. So it was really cool to see like what our life will look like. We really enjoyed that.
That was awesome.
I'm wondering if we have any OG listeners here who remember Eamon and I as the backpackers we once were. We used to genuinely each have 2 pairs of socks, 3 shirts, and minimal underwear while traveling. This was like our capsule wardrobe, you could call it, for everything, including hiking for 30 days in the Himalayan mountains. And I know that sounds gross, but merino wool is the answer. So when we discovered Unbound, a travel clothing company made by travelers for travelers, made of merino wool, we were so excited to work together. Merino wool is moisture wicking, temperature regulating, and extra comfortable for all sorts of travel.
Unbelievable.
We've been rocking some of their wear lately, and I'm proud to say that I've also reworn these socks for the last, few days, and I don't wash them.
With Unbound's versatile pieces, you can go from the plane to the outdoor adventure to a swanky dinner without the headaches of overpacking or needing to change outfits for every leg of your journey. They're all basics, they're all classics, and they're super comfortable.
Head over to their website, unboundmerino.com, where new customers can use our code REROOT for 15% off their order.
I think we should get some more of this.
Honestly,
More socks. All of our socks should be these.
I wore the Unbound Merino to my gym, and it's in a hot room, and you get so sweaty. And I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I just hung it up, dried it out, and wore it again.
Wow.
That
That
is
is disgusting.
That is disgusting. I know, but I would never do that with any of my other clothing.
Yeah, it is a wild technology.
I love it.
Yeah,
It's
me
the
too.
best. I want to circle back to you and being a mom and like finding time, because I know that there are moms listening who relate and are in the same season of their life, and they want to know, I know you say it's a work in progress, but what is it that you do, or what are you finding is just like grounding you in those moments? Because you can say all you want, I know this is the best time of my life, but like the day, the whole day sometimes just it wears you down, you know? So what is it that you are striving, like what kind of balance are you looking for, and what do you find makes you feel the most yourself as a mom? So you're saying these deep chats, or
Yeah, I think one thing I really want to invest more in is friendships in Brighton, because a lot of my friends are also moms. So if we just meet up at the park with our toddlers, like we have like 10 started sentences, you know? At the end, Louis like, oh, how was that catch up? I'm like, we didn't catch up. So I think I really want to prioritize maybe like having like the dads take the kids, and that's something I want to focus on. But also I think it's so much more simple than even I am making it out to be. Like all I need is half an hour to myself sometimes. I don't need to go away for a day-long spa day. I mean, it'll be great for my birthday. Thank you for my birthday gift, but that doesn't need to be a regular thing, you know? And maybe doing like a pottery class once in a while. Just
I wish you lived
something.
here.
I know. But we'll talk about Costa Rica.
Yeah,
We're working on them.
Because that's something
Yeah.
Sarah and I have been doing is so we go to, I was going to invite you, we go to like this local gym that's so fun. And I was saying to these guys on Saturday, we came back from one and I'm like, yeah, they do these little dance breaks in the middle and everyone's kind of like, you know, and I am like sobbing of joy.
Oh.
I am moving my body. And Andrew's partner was like, oh, so it was like an emotional release class. I'm like, no, I just make it that because that's what I need in that moment. But to just have that hour, Sarah and I drive there. We get to like chat without our kids. We have this time for ourselves. We come back like so re-energized to be a mom for the rest of the day. I'm like, I missed you so much, Frankie. Like, get over here, you know? So I'm finding like that space of an hour and we do it 3 times a week.
Amazing.
And it's been life-changing. And I think it's been great for our relationships because the boys do their workouts some nights a week. And it's like, often it's when Frankie's already asleep and it's just, anyways.
I
wish
think
you lived
it
here.
will help for you to be more decisive and be like, I'm claiming, I'm going to do this. Just tell me like, I'm going to this thing.
It actually has been really nice to like have days. So it's like we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we just know that at some point in that day, we get our hour and a half to go do anything, right?
Yeah.
We do a workout, but it could be anything. Even if you go for a walk in the park, right? You need an hour, you know, away from the kid.
Are you familiar with Jinty Fell? She's yeah. And I remember I was so far away from Parenthood, but I remember her sharing like Chris and I give each other an hour a day. And you know, when you're not a parent, you have no clue what an hour a day means. But it's circled back to me and I'm just like, it's just an hour a day.
Yeah.
Like it changes your whole life.
Also, at the end of that hour, I'm like desperate to see Neo.
1,000,000,000%.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. It's like, but if you don't have it, you're like, it's not that you're not obsessed with your kid and that you're not in love with spending all that time, but it's like, you just need a break.
This is the problem I observe though, is that Raya has a list of things she's trying to do, not for herself, but like, oh, I need to like sort through my clothes and put the laundry on. So it's like
cook lunch for
I'll
everyone.
take Neo out for an hour and you won't even get through your list of things you're trying to do, let alone actually have like you time.
Yes.
So that's where we need to find the balance of like, how do we
I think it's just
navigate
prioritizing it. It's like, even if there's dishes to be washed or whatever, I'm still going to go do this thing because this is my time.
That's why I love like a pottery class or going to a yoga studio or and you know what time it is and you're like, Louis, you are home from 3 to 4 and you know,
No, you cannot take an electric scooter to fucking Spain or wherever you went.
It's tough as well with those things because that's also our income. So it's
No,
like,
I'm just giving you a hard time. I just think it's hilarious.
Like as a dad, that's not what you should be saying.
that's me providing. That's me providing.
I just picture like
That's me
you at
providing,
home
bro.
with Neo and he's like sleeping on the side of the road with his solar panels. Like it's just pretty funny.
Yeah.
We have agreed that, and even before, I think before we had Neo, we said, if you can do like 1 week-long adventure per quarter,
Yeah.
and then that you can like get tons of videos out of that time.
That's
and
great.
also because when we drove our school bus down to Costa Rica, that was a bit more of an adventure than I like.
It was 10 out of 10 adventure.
It was 10 out of 10 adventure. Louis got arrested, back of a pickup truck. Anyway, it was crazy. You can watch those videos if you want to see. But at the end of that, I was like, I think I
You're
feel
done.
complete with that level of
For life.
adventure.
Yeah, so
I want to circle back to like your spirituality journey because you said when you were in, are we okay?
yeah, I just such a huge.
I know, but you
Such
know,
a
I
huge-
feel like I've been really open on this podcast and with you guys about like my spiritual journey, and it's just all I truly want to talk about.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah,
When Louis was going about eating fish, I'm like, okay, move on.
I feel like we had to go
Let's
there,
get
but
to
like
the
this is
spiritual
where the
background.
episode's going to get interesting.
yes, because
We can
We'll
always, like, trim-
timestamp.
we
If
can always
anybody
trim
wants to
that
just
down.
skip to now.
because growing up with a Catholic background, and I think I just really started rejecting spirituality as religion, and then that was the thing, and I was always like intuitive, and people would be like, you're hippie but also not hippie, and I'm like, yeah, like I don't really know, and I'm just leaned in, and I'm couldn't be happier, and it's just taught me so much. So I want to like hear from both of you about your journey with spirituality. What did you grow up in learning, doing, and where are you now, and how do you plan to bring Neo up in this world?
17
questions
so much
in
to
one.
unpack.
So I growing up in Bulgaria was communist till just before I was born, and religion was banned during that time. So religion wasn't really a big part of my family, anyone I really knew growing up. I mean, like my grandma would go light a candle at church, but that was kind of it. So
sorry, there was a church. And
yeah,
she
there
went.
were, the churches were still there. I mean, especially I think during communism, they would be like soldiers in front of the churches on Easter and stuff because you couldn't go in.
Wow.
But by the time I was growing up, that was done. So and the churches had been there for hundreds of years or whatever. They didn't knock them
Probably
down.
thousands of years.
Yeah, thousands
Like
of years.
Catholic or
Orthodox, I think, for the most part.
Okay.
And sorry, the reason that they would they would ban that is just to help control the mindset.
I think
of people?
so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think partly. But yeah, so for me, I think my experience of spirituality was like extreme religions, and I saw them as extreme because I was just learning about like the Crusades and stuff, and I was like, this is crazy. Like people are killing each other. It doesn't make any sense. So I think I kind of rejected, just any like religion seemed too extreme to me. And if you'd asked me if I would have dated anyone that was Christian or believed in God or Jesus or anything, I would have said definitely not. Like that's not a thing for me. But I think whatever you call it, like everyone feels something. And I felt it being in nature mainly. So I never really had a name for it, but I knew that I felt just like at home in nature. And Bulgaria has beautiful nature. We did a lot of hiking and stuff. So that was kind of my experience up. I'll stop before LA and then you could talk about your background. Then we could talk about LA. But yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up very different. I grew up like intensely involved with church. And honestly, it was all very positive for me. Like it was a very like progressive, liberal church. It wasn't kind of like how you imagine like Americanized Southern Christianity, which maybe that's how I'll refer to it. But that's kind of very different to what I experienced. So it was all about like, I think a lot of the values I was kind of brought up with was like, you know, taking in vulnerable people and giving a lot of my time to kind of, you know, helping people and trying to mirror that kind of life that Jesus kind of showed how to live and all that kind of stuff. And I think I didn't get too caught up in the judgmental side that you see from Christianity, although there's probably a bit of that. But I do think I was in a bubble. So I think that was kind of, you know, most of my closest friends were part of my church. And it probably wasn't until my late teens, early 20s where I really started, I don't know, just experiencing more of the world outside of that bubble. But I still had this very strong sense of like, I'm friends with God kind of thing. But I think over my 20s, I think more and more of my kind of like beliefs were challenged. And I think not just spiritually, but I think all over the place. Like, do I need to buy a house? Do I need to get a full-time job? And a lot of my early 20s were like experimenting and testing things to the limit of like, oh, what if I just move into my van and like, do I need to spend money on food? Maybe I can just eat worms or something. Like it was all of this. I was like pushing myself to the limit to see like what
goldfish were pretty cheap.
Yeah, I was like, what is life about? It's not about striving to get the best job, to earn an income, to buy a house, to get, you know, I kind of like, I really rejected a lot of that, and I was like finding my own path.
But
at
that time, did you still believe in like Jesus?
Totally still believed in God. Totally still recognized Jesus was such an important figure in me understanding my spirituality. But I was starting to meet people for the first time from different faith backgrounds that I couldn't deny also had a connection with God. So that was challenging my core Christian belief, which is Jesus is the only way. So that was when I was like, maybe Jesus isn't the only way, you know? I still recognize Jesus as the way that I connected with God, but maybe these other people that are talking to me about these profound, incredible spiritual encounters with God, but not through Jesus. Who am I to be like, no, that's wrong. That's just a lie, or that's Satan or something, you know, that's the devil. I'm like, so that was when it started eroding the strictness of my kind of theology around who God and what God is. And I think probably by the time I kind of went full in on YouTube, I still felt like I was friends with God. That was a big part of my life, but it was kind of like in the background a bit more. And I wasn't like, and for a long time, I hadn't been going to like church on a Sunday. I kind of thought that's, in a way, that's like can be a part of your ritual, but I don't think that was, for me, it wasn't ever essential to me, like feeling like, okay, I'm on this journey. So yeah, by the time we'd met, I was on the fence because I was like, well, Raya's not a Christian or whatever you want to, call it. She hasn't got a belief in God, and that could be a fundamental red flag, not red flag, but like deal breaker.
Yeah, we talked about it. He was like, I would want to raise my kids knowing God. So I don't know what that
I was
means
like,
for us.
yeah, if there's
I was agnostic at the time. I wasn't atheist. I was just like, I don't know, like, who am I to say who God is? Or
and it was such a core part of my life, even though at that point it was kind of a bit more background. I was like, yeah, this is interesting. And it's even more interesting because I think one of my most kind of toxic, damaging relationships I'd been in was with like a Christian girl, So I was like, I don't think it's black and white. I don't think it's like Christian tick, non-Christian cross, So I think by that time I'd already like been dismantling my kind of strong beliefs a bit more.
But I think something I kind of recently realized that is like such a core for you to understand who Louis is and how he's lived his life is Louis always lived knowing that God loves him, which is
so beautiful.
I think that's my
beautiful.
core belief. If have you watched Inside Out or like the new one? You need to watch
Maybe we
the
should
new
watch
one.
it, yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
honestly,
Okay.
we were crying.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's, I don't want to ruin it, but a lot of it's about what's your core belief? Like if there's one thing, that's a statement. And mine's always been, I'm loved by God. Like if someone's like, who are you at your core? I'm just loved by God. That's like my core.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Just
because
by being you, though,
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. There's nothing I can do.
That is what I find so, like, that's where I'm at.
And
but that's not in Catholicism because you are loved by God if you do this and not if you do that, which is very confusing.
Yeah.
And you could switch out the word God, which Raya's triggered
Well, it's
by
confusing
sometimes.
too because then people pick and choose. Like how detailed are we going with the book here?
Yeah.
Right? No, in our family it's okay if you
Exactly.
don't go
Yeah.
to church on Christmas.
But if you switch out the word God for like the universe or the
Well,
creative
the word
energy
God
or
was
whatever.
very triggering for me when we met, and whenever I'd hang out with Louis' Christian friends, and
It's
they
'cause
would pray or something.
To like the Father or the Lord, and that's when it gets like Father, Lord. It's like,
Yeah. No, but even just the word God, whenever someone would talk about God, I would
Do they
just
ever
check
sing
out.
songs? Sometimes Beck is in like her bedroom, like just singing these Catholic songs.
Oh, wow.
They are so unbelievably creepy. The only word. Like if you break down the lyrics,
Right,
it's just like, whoa, what did you just say?
There when they nailed him to the cross.
No, I think I would have dipped if that was happening.
even more modern Christian
But I
songs.
don't sing it like,
Yeah.
I'm doing my prayers.
No,
I
but if
sing it
Louis and
like
his friends
it's
were
a
sitting
tune.
around, I'd
Yeah.
be like, I can't.
I was singing. I was
I think
singing.
I've made the wrong decision.
Yeah, I was singing a more modern Christian song the other day because it popped into my head, and I was like, "Yeah, banger!" Like, I used to love this song. And then, like 2 lines in, I was like, I was like, I don't really know if I agree with that line anymore. I was like, that's so weird. Like, that's kind of problematic for me, that line there. So it's just interesting to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think after that conversation, we kind of realized our core beliefs are the same, and even if we didn't get to them through the same way. So we were like, I think we can still be together, and we'll like figure out raising kids when that happens. But then we moved to LA, and I don't think we were looking for a spiritual community.
No, we just wanted a
necessarily.
community.
Yeah, we just wanted a community, but we found this like, it's kind of like classic Venice Beach New Age community. And it was people of all backgrounds. Like some were super Christian, Jewish, Hindu, like honestly, a bit of everything.
Buddhist.
Yeah.
It was like,
But everyone believed the same thing, and there was nothing exclusive about like, oh, if you don't believe this, then you don't feel it in the same way. All of us were like, we all feel God, universe, whatever, Mother Earth. We all feel it, and we are all one. Like we just
Love.
all it was all love. That's the thing. It was just a frequency of love, and however you got there, or whatever you called it. Some of our friends were like channeling aliens, and like it was just
doing like
there was no judgment.
yoga.
Yeah, everyone was doing whatever they wanted, and that was the first time I'd spent that much quality time, and same with you, I guess, with people of all faith backgrounds.
It was fascinating to learn from other people because, like I said, I grew up in a bit of a bubble. So I was like, well, like these are spiritual practices. Some of them similar to Christian spiritual practices, and like
Most of them,
yeah,
that's the thing.
they just labeled different things. So like I grew up with like prophecy was a thing where someone would hear something from God for you, like, oh, you know, God's told me this thing or whatever, or that, you know, and then there's so many similarities with other people that are like hearing whatever, like things from
Channeling,
God, or I don't know. It's super interesting.
And we had Shabbat dinners at our house every Friday. One of our roommates is an amazing vegan chef, and we'd
all hold hands, and he would like thank, you know, the people that prep the food. It's like basically saying grace, or like, you know, it's just, it was just super awesome. It's like a redefining of like this new spiritual path that we were both on. And for Raya, this was like your first kind of entry into the spiritual world.
Yeah, it was things that I'd always kind of felt, and they were like bubbling in the background. But the first time that it was the front of my mind, like hours and hours of conversation around it, kind of, like figuring it out for myself.
And the way I viewed it as well, it wasn't like me rejecting my past journey. It was more like an expansion of my beliefs. So it was like, still love Jesus, still love this journey I've been on. And now I'm realizing God's bigger than I ever imagined. Whereas it's not like, oh, I've turned away from the right path. I'm you know, I've lost my way or something. I'm like, no, I genuinely just believe.
Were there people in your life though that felt that way?
Probably, yeah. There's probably still is people that are like concerned for me. Because also I think growing up for me, anything labeled new age or kind of what we stepped into in Venice, this kind of hippie spirituality was like, oh, that's could be wrong or satanic or not of God. But it's so weird because it's also this blanket labeling of like, that's its own spiritual belief system, new age, but it isn't. It's like an amalgamation of loads of different people's spiritual, you know, and even just before we met Karen and Nate, we stopped in Atlanta in Georgia on our road trip, and we found this vegan cafe. And I was like,
we literally just looked up on Happy Cow.
We were eating, and I was like reading the menu. It's like 100% of profits go to feeding homeless people, and I was like, 100% of profits go to feeding homeless people? That's amazing. And then we got chatting to the server, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm volunteering my time for free.
Wow.
I was like, you don't get paid? No. And then I was like, this is very resonating with me as like the purest form of what this servant service mentality of being a Christian was about. And then we got chatting to them, and they are all Hare Krishna. They believe in like the Hare Krishna belief or whatever that is. And they're one of their guru guys was there, and we got chatting to him, and he was like, yeah, the core belief of the Hare Krishna belief is that we were created to serve others. That's like the core belief, is like the purpose of life is to serve others around us.
And that's what Jesus said.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa. And then we spent a few days with them, like going to feed homeless people. We ended up spending a ton of time. And then they had music kind of worship circles. Or I don't know if they called it worship, but that's what I grew up like us playing guitars, you know, singing Christian songs. Exactly the same. They were just singing like Hare Krishna songs.
Language,
with like drums. And I was like, this is exactly the same.
And I loved it because we weren't chanting in English.
Yeah.
There was no judgment. It was like, we can all say the words and we're just feeling whatever we want to feel. But it was just love. Everyone was dancing. It was just so amazing.
Yeah. That was an eye opener for me as well. I was like, this is challenging some things in my mind, you know, of what connecting with God's about. So
I think it's so beautiful. I remember because you grew up in none of it, he's always sort of looked at my songs as like, whoa, like sort of similar to you, Raya. And then when our friends were talking about their journey with Christianity, and you were like, but are you just saying God is love? Because, and this is years ago, like way before he's like, because if that's the case, I love God. God is love. Like, I am on board with God. And you just started using the word God. And I was like, whoa, dude. Like,
I redefined it because it used to be a little triggering for me too.
Yeah.
Right? This concept of God was like this power that you have to pray to, and you have to be this type of person. And if you're not this type of person, then you go to hell, and hell you boil forever.
Yeah, totally.
So
and I don't like that God is a man. I don't like that. I don't think that's true at all.
No, God is you.
And a white man
of love.
God is us.
Frequency
of
love.
Exactly.
We're all, you have to use your example that you told me. You already know where I'm going.
Well, I was going to go into where things got real deep was when we did mushrooms. So that was like, a lot of our friends in LA had talked about plant medicine. They
Have we talked about this publicly?
No, we haven't.
Okay.
Little spilling the
talked
tea
about it
here.
a little bit here and there. But yeah, so anyway, we both don't drink alcohol, don't smoke weed, like nothing. And so I think, yeah, we just never would have really talked about at the time, plant medicine, we just called drugs. So we were like, those are drugs, we don't do those. So then we both differently, I think I heard a podcast, something happened where we both found out about ayahuasca at the same time. But we never really heard about it. And that is like...
I'd heard about it, but this is the first time I was like intrigued by it, I think.
Okay. So ayahuasca is a plant medicine from the Amazon, and it's made from a vine of one leaf and the root of another leaf and of another plant, and they don't grow in the same part of the jungle. And there's billions of plants that grow in the jungle. So
it's this bizarre combo.
It's a bizarre combo made into a tea. So who was told to make that tea? Yeah. Right.
God.
And my first, one of our friends.
Also, who made the mushrooms that trip balls that you take and trip balls? God.
Yeah.
So there's a few things
and they grow in the wild.
There's a few things that were sparking my interest. So firstly, listen to a podcast about any of these plant medicines, hallucinogens from around the world. When hundreds of years ago, when places were getting colonized, the Spanish were coming in with Catholicism, the British with, all these kind of Christianity taking over different cultures. All of these plant medicines that had been used by locals for hundreds of years, maybe even millennia, were suddenly deemed as evil. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's demonic. I'm like, yeah, that is weird. Like these are ways people connect with nature. This is ways that people connect with their past. This is like a heritage.
And at that exact same time that happened, humans evolved away from connecting with nature, living in harmony with nature, living in community, all these things.
So I was listening to that. I was like, yeah, that's just wrong. There's so much horrific stuff that happened with colonization in the name of God and everything. So that was one thing. Then for me, we were chatting to a friend who was talking about his ayahuasca experience, and everything he was explaining, I was like, that is how I felt in the most intense spiritual moments worshiping God in a Christian setting, where I felt like overwhelmed, like fallen over. I've been like shaking. Like it's very, like everything he was saying, I was like, that is identical. He was like, it was a flood of love. My whole body felt like I was like vibrating with love. And I was like, that's super interesting. Like, because I'd written all drugs off as like, oh no, drugs are bad kind of thing. And I still feel like I wouldn't want to take mind-altering substances in a party setting or something where it's not conscious.
Yeah. So basically, we'd both been intrigued by ayahuasca, which just seemed like such a beautiful ceremonial medicine. It didn't feel like a drug the more I learned about it. And we were talking to some friends who had done it, and they were like, I wouldn't recommend doing nothing and then ayahuasca. Like, that's quite an intense... Yeah. So they were like, I would recommend just starting with mushrooms. That's a more gentle way. But it's a very similar medicine in this sense of like the connection with nature and opening of the heart and all that stuff. So we basically organized with two of our friends.
Well, let me rewind one sec. Before we did, just one other thing, just for people that are watching that haven't thought about this before. Again, I was very reluctant, very like, I don't want to just jump in and be like, way, let's go. So
you're not aiming.
No, I'd watched this documentary called The Mind Explained, and it was coming from a scientific view of what do psychedelics do for people. And it was coming from a therapeutic perspective of like back in the 60s. I mean, I won't go into the whole history, but basically it was saying that like people had addictions could be broken in one like psychedelic experience, like deep addictions of heroin, cigarettes, like all these kind of crazy lifelong things. Yeah.
PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD. So it was being used in a therapeutic sense, and they had like a scan of someone's brain on psychedelics, and it was like areas of your brain that never normally communicate with each other were connected. And I was like, whoa, I would like to experience that. Like, I wonder how my brain would kind of connect with itself.
Yeah, I guess it felt like going deeper into ourselves. It wasn't like we're going to take this outside thing that's going to make us hallucinate and see things that aren't normally in our brain. It was like our brain's just going to speak in new ways, and we'll actually get to like know ourselves in a deeper level. So that's what we loved about it.
Yeah, and then there was this metaphor of like, it's almost like a fresh, like all of the negative thought patterns we have and these paths are almost like skiing down a mountain. And if you ski down a mountain enough, there's like a track, and basically it's hard to go off piste. You're going down the same track over and over again. So this is like a fresh coat of snow, and it allows you to make new thought paths. So that's why people can break addictions immediately, because these paths are broken, you can like recreate. So that's all of that super intrigued me. And I was like, okay, if this is something we could do intentionally in a safe space, there's people looking out for us, like I was open to it.
I think we also at that point were so secure in ourselves and our beliefs that it felt like this isn't gonna like, I don't know,
mess us up.
You
Yeah,
weren't running from anything. You were simply just doing it. As
Yeah,
you
it wasn't
said,
an
to know
escapism
yourself.
thing. It
Yes,
wasn't an
yeah,
escapism.
it's beautiful.
There's more of a searching for
something
a deeper connection or something. Yeah.
So yeah, we basically just two of our friends who had experience with psychedelics. We went to our friend's house in Malibu, super safe space, just the four of us, and they were like
super vibey.
Oh yeah, like she made these amazing chocolate. Yeah, it was just like beautiful lights. Everything was just very calming and lovely, and it was just very intentional. We all set our intentions for the ceremony, what we wanted to do. So we took the mushrooms, and basically, I mean, we don't need to go, like, it was like, I don't know, however long, an 8-hour experience. But
we could go
remember
a
how
little
much
bit.
you took?
I think I did 3.5.
Ooh, that's a good dose for the first one.
Or you did 3 and I did 4. I don't know. There was like a slightly different amount.
That's our friend was like, you should go in.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it was very, I mean, yeah, there were definitely like visuals we were seeing, and we had different experiences. But
I'd love to share a bit of my
I
experience.
want to hear about
we can
it.
like keep it short.
No, you go.
So it started, right? We were sitting down and I was like, when's this going to kick in? And then suddenly the room went sideways. It was like, and I was just like, fell to the floor sideways. And then I was just like, it was very internal for me. Like, yeah, we could see like fractals and everything was crazy, but like it was quite soon after I just went and laid down. And initially I was like, I felt like I was laying on a bed and I felt like I was sinking below the mattress, like through the mattress. And I thought, am I dying? And I was like, if this is what dying is like, I basically felt like I was leaving my body. And I was like, I could imagine someone who, I'm not really scared of dying, but someone who was scared of dying. At that point, I was like, oh, this would completely free me.
No,
I was like, it would free me from any fear of dying, because it didn't feel scary. It didn't feel like it was the end.
There's a lot of people who are like on their deathbeds who do psychedelics, and they're like, oh, I know what it feels like now to be one with everything again.
Yeah, so basically what it felt like was that me as an independent, this maybe ties back to this idea of us as independent family units as well, or independent people. Like it broke down this barrier that I am independent of everyone around me and everything around me.
Yeah.
I felt like suddenly I was like an energy that was just suddenly connected to everything. And it almost felt like I was also able to zoom myself out to like an astronomical, like out in the universe. And then I could zoom all the way down to like an atomic level. And I was like sitting inside of an atom. And I suddenly had this like world of knowledge. It was like I was in infinite bookcases of like, this is what the universe is about. And I was like sitting in like a molecular level of like knowledge inside the infinite. And I was just like it, and I just felt connected to, it was like in a sea of connection with everybody and everything. And I was just like, it just felt like pure love. It was like suddenly I felt like I was in, like, I can't even describe it, but it felt like I was totally at one with God.
Yeah.
And it's so contrary to what I grew up believing, that like anything like that is demonic. It's like so easy to label everything. Oh no, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. I didn't feel that at all. I felt like, oh my gosh, this feels exactly like the same connection I felt in the praying and worship to God. Like I felt that same connection. And I also just at this point, don't think everyone needs to do psychedelics. I think you can reach that.
Yeah.
Meditation. With meditation.
Prayer,
but I feel like it's a bit of a shortcut. Like you can kind of,
exactly.
And maybe for some people, maybe do it once and then you can get back there because you know it exists, that place of like, so anyway, oh man, I'll try and be quick, but basically it almost like eroded everything I'd learned and back to almost a toddler age of like looking through the world with this absolute awe, as if I was seeing everything for the first time again. I would literally pick up like, what did
We
I
talk
pick
about
up?
this a lot. The banana.
No, there's everything. But yeah, the
Great,
banana.
yeah.
Yeah, I picked up banana. And this is like a few hours later where we were starting to eat things. And I had completely forgotten how to open a banana. Or I was questioning like, why do we open bananas? But anyway, I wasn't thinking about it. But then Raya looked over and I was scooping. I'd poked a hole in the middle of the banana.
Yeah,
and
on
I
the
was
side. Yeah.
scooping out that in the banana.
Why
from the-
not?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's also kind of what a toddler would do, right? They don't know
Yeah.
you're
Well, I
supposed
have
to
a
peel it.
photo of Neo. I'd peeled him a banana, handed it to him, and he took a bite off the side. And it's exactly what Louis did.
So it was like reconnecting with the absolute unbelievable beauty of everything around us, which I think we just get numbed.
Yes.
I think our kids are at that stage right now, and I think we're all
just
born
gonna
in
say
like
this.
like that.
Yes.
And then as we grow up, it's just this like box that we're putting
Yeah.
around ourselves, and then we end up looking at the world like this. So even the visuals, like when you look at trees and you see them breathing, I think we can. That's always there. I don't think we're inventing seeing things that aren't there. I think those things are always
Yeah.
there. We're just like so blind and numb to the world that we don't see it.
Yeah, you know how we see a spectrum of light and it's like we can't see ultraviolet or infrared. We've only, it's
speak my language.
it's literally like that is expanded, so suddenly you can see ultraviolet and infrared. That's kind of how it feels.
Just to go back on that meditation point, because that's a big part of our life right now.
Yeah.
The 4 years ago, I did a mushroom trip, and I came inside and I woke back up, and I was like, "Babe, I know the key to life.
Yeah.
It's meditation. It's
never
we don't
meditated
need drugs. We don't need to search for anything. It's all within you.
Yeah.
And now that we're putting in the work and diving deeper, at least in my experience, I know you've had some unbelievable experiences.
Well, it's amazing when you like talk about your experience with like it moving through you, feeling like pure love and light. Like I have all of that, and I know the science of it. Like my brain is becoming coherent.
Yeah.
And when you stop being in survival and it's all like compartmentalized, and you have that coherence in your brain, you return back to like your state of pure love and coherence essentially, and then you connect to these different frequencies of love that we're just numb to.
And I think I want to get in a discipline of meditation. I think probably for us, plant medicine like the mushrooms was important to
Definitely.
to break us into that, because it is a shortcut. And I feel like once you've experienced that and you're like, okay, we don't need mushrooms to connect with this. In the same way, I was like, I'd experienced a level of that through worship and prayer and stuff, but I do believe like we could absolutely get there with meditation.
Well, your brain is the best pharmacy
Yeah.
to ever exist.
Well,
So
since
you can
doing
create
those
any of those
mushrooms-
chemicals
Yeah.
within you.
Since doing those mushrooms, we've done a lot of breath work, and
Yeah.
I've had very similar experiences, same visuals, everything, just through breathing. So
Are
that's
you in my head? I was just gonna say, I think the shortcut to meditation even is breath work.
Yes.
If we do breath work, like the other night we did a breath work, it was 30 minutes, felt like 2. And we were cackling like we were children. And all I saw was like purple and all these beautiful like patterns. But we were like, I don't even know.
Like
we were
almost
making,
animal-like, like grunts and
like returning to source of just pure.
pure joy. It was better than any drug I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like we laughed for
I guess the 30
whole
minutes.
time.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, haha, like this is funny. It was like this like guttural, like moving energy through both of our bodies. That was just this huge release of energy. That was probably very cathartic for us to have together.
it felt like we did drugs, right? We came out of it and we're just like, holy shit. We're
Well, I
just
think-
lying on our living room. Frankie's sleeping in the next room.
I think that's the next
was
level
wild.
for me, and I think it's a higher barrier to entry for people that maybe haven't experienced anything. Breathwork's a lower barrier to entry, but you still look. Going back to the mushroom trip, I remember this one moment. I was like, if all the world leaders just sat in a room and took mushrooms
Yes.
together,
Yeah.
everything would be solved, because
Yeah.
you'd feel so connected. You don't want to be mean to people with mushrooms.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like a
You
truth
love
serum.
everyone.
Yeah.
It's almost like
So
a
much
truth serum.
gratitude and appreciation for
Yeah,
the
so I
life
felt
we're living.
like that. I was like, oh my gosh, like if we could, it's not like everyone has to be mushrooms, but if everyone could be in this state. And
You
I
just
think
have
that
to feel it once, because for me,
exactly, yeah.
that mushroom, like I always say, there's like me before and me after.
Yeah, it was
Because
like
it's
a
things that I
life-changing
always
experience.
kind of knew, but when I felt it in my body, it was like, oh, this is real.
We should go to Washington and break into like the main water supply and put like psilocybin in there.
That's not a
Great
me
idea.
adventure, but that you too. You two can do
I thought
that.
we said when we had our children, we'd max out on those adventures of getting arrested and,
exactly.
et cetera.
But I do think like the next step for me is, and it's hard in our lives more than most, is like we pretty much have zero, like we struggle to like schedule in working out. We've got no routine at all. So that's where the challenge is, like, how do we start putting in healthy kind of like
Habits.
patterns into a life where it's like helping us live better, which I think's one of our next challenges. Both of us are the same. Like it's not even like one of us is better. We're both terrible at any structure.
Yeah, we're just so spontaneous that we just like do whatever, and then at the end of the day we're like, oh, we didn't really get to do.
So that's where I think to build in a routine of breathwork, meditation, stretching, all of that kind of stuff. Like it's all stuff we've been talking about for years. But
I do think that's like the next part of this conversation, right? Because it's all well and good to have these amazing experiences and to feel love and oneness and connection in that moment. But for me, it's about like with my eyes open and my normal state, how do I meet everyone with love and that knowingness that we're all one? And when you do, you're in alignment and things like your Venice beach house, like that's how it happens. People are like, oh, it's such a coincidence, but it's not. It's when you're truly your most authentic, grounded self. The universe is just, God, whatever you want to call it, is just gifting you all the time, saying like, don't stop doing what you're doing. Here's the magic. Like, keep going. It's gift giving season, and we love giving gifts because there's genuinely no better feeling than giving someone a gift that they wouldn't buy for themselves. That little bit of luxury that they don't know they're missing. And then when they get it, they're like, wow, game changer. Game changer. For quality gifts at an affordable price, our go-to is Quince.
Quince lets you treat your loved ones and yourself to everyday luxury items at affordable prices. For the ultimate gifts, check out their 14-karat gold jewelry and European linen sheets. We actually love gifting sheets as a wedding gift because it's something that people don't necessarily buy for themselves, but when they get into that bed, I don't think there's a better moment. Fresh shower, into the bed, linen.
Whatever you're looking for, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. And they do that by partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, which passes the savings on to you.
Quince is on the nice list. They only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing.
I'm personally trying to reduce the amount of non-organic clothing that I have in my closet. So I ordered the 100% organic boxy crop and their organic twill barrel pants. You know, barrel pants are really in. I've been like into the baggy, and I love them both. They're like capsule wardrobe pieces.
So gift luxury this holiday season without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/Reroot for 365-day returns plus free shipping on all orders. That's QUINCE.com/Reroot to get free shipping and 365 days returns.
Plus, you literally comment every time I wear the pants that they're cool.
Barrel pants.
And if Eamon thinks it's cool, then I'm winning.
Get yourself some barrels.
Well, just to finish, I'm going to come back to that definitely, but I just want to quickly say with my experience of the mushroom, my main takeaway, which is what, coming back to what you said about the like analogy that I said, was the truth that I knew was that God, universe, whatever you want to call it, is like this ocean, and all of us are like a glass that just gets like a dip into the ocean. So I don't think we're separate from God. I think we're all like
A part of God.
Yes.
we're all like little like glasses full of God that just get to live life like this for however many years, and then we just get poured right back in. And then, so when it comes to reincarnation and stuff, I think it's like our souls just like meld back into this one.
But also maybe we get to experience moments of melding back in throughout
I
life as well.
agree.
And you can tap into it. And that's what feeling all these things we're talking about is.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I think I mentioned it on one of the last episodes. For me, was like getting to that realization of like we're all oneness is such an epic way to move through life. Like I just see everyone as myself now, and like I'm just way like more open to everyone, and just like you know, someone cuts me off in traffic, way to go, buddy.
Well, even we're talking about the like competitiveness. When you see we're all like, so a big thing for me is I've had like body image issues for a lot of my life. And one big thing, like the next day after that, I was like, but every like super skinny model out there is also me. So I'm also getting to live that life. of having that body. But this life hasn't been like, that's not the body I was given for this life. So why am I going to waste it trying to look like that? That's stupid. So, when everyone you see, if they're you, then you just want to celebrate them and to like, you want them to be winning because that's also you getting to experience that too.
Exactly. And by you celebrating as opposed to judging yourself, you're actually telling the universe more of that kind of love and energy in my life. My example is like I wasn't able to breastfeed, and so I've talked openly about that and how hard it was for me, and I still wanted all of my women friends to know that I wanted like to celebrate them through it. And I feel like I'm going to be pregnant and breastfeed round 2, you know? Whatever the science wants to say, okay, fine, but it's coming because I'm celebrating it and I'm in such a healthy space with it now, and it was a really challenging thing to get there, but I'm proud of where I'm at for sure. So proud of you. Thank you. I want to, if you're comfortable, talk about your body image stuff, because I remember when I first met you and we did a Q&A, and it's amazing. It's almost circling back to that very first thing we were talking about. All I see in you is beauty. I see this vibrant, confident woman. And when you opened up about some of that in that Q&A, it was genuinely shocking, and not in like a, I don't believe you, or that is totally your journey. And I would love for you to just speak to the woman out there who needs to hear how to find more love, because we're all love. We're all one, you know, and this is your vessel in this lifetime. So how have you navigated finding more love?
So on 2 days ago, on my birthday, Louis asked me like if you could go back to 10 years ago, like what's the one thing you would say? And I was like, I wish I could tell her not to worry about it, but I know I had to spend my 20s getting here, you know? And a lot of people spend their 20s and beyond struggling with it. I think, I don't really know. I think part of it is acceptance. It's like I am not working out as much as I wish I was now, but there have been times in my life when I was like super active. And I think if you know that you're active and you're eating well, and we eat really well, then it's like this is what your healthy body looks like. I think that's the thing. It's, if for you to look a certain way is for you to not eat enough or like work out way too much, that's not what your body's supposed to look like. So yeah, I guess it's like this is the body you have for this lifetime. So just treat, like if you were to truly just focus on health, just moving, you don't even have to like go to the gym, just, you know, walk, be active, and eat generally well. Don't deprive yourself of like delicious things, because we love good food, but most of your food should be nourishing. If you live like that, then what your body looks like is what it's supposed to look like. I think that's just where I'm at. Like I used to like look at women that were smaller than me and look at what they're eating and be like, oh, that's what my plate should look like or whatever. But that's stupid, because I've seen so many women smaller than me eat horrendously, you know? I'm like, wow, if I ate that, I would look very, very different. So yeah, I think I'm just at this place now. And I think honestly being vegan has made us appreciate our food so much more. And I think I just put so much more like, there's just love on our plates because there isn't death there. So I think focusing on that, like just, I know that this food is so good for me and so nourishing for me. And
there can be some bad vegan food, but
yeah,
we
of course.
Don't eat a lot
but
of
most of our food, like when I look at my plates, most of the time I know that this is nourishing me.
Whole food.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I think the food industry is so sneaky these days. Like I saw something on Instagram where it was comparing even McDonald's fries 10 years ago or 20 years ago to McDonald's fries now. And there's just so much crap in it, right? It used to be potato, salt, and oil.
Yeah.
And now it's like mono, dextra, blah, blah, blah. Even the salt has like 4 ingredients in it.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's just, you know.
What can they put in it to make it more addictive?
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
But even outside the food stuff, I think part of it as well, I don't want to speak for you, but it's like recognizing that all of the media we consume our entire lives is a distortion. Yeah. Like it's a distortion of what a beautiful body looks like. It's a distortion of what beauty or what attraction should be. And you were even saying when we moved to the UK, it was like really refreshing because there's less, I think there's more acceptance in the UK of different body sizes and shapes, even on the TV. Like,
well, coming from LA as well, where everyone's like the yoga girl. And then, yeah, like I remember we don't even have a TV, but we were at someone's house and like the news was on. And I was like, that
He's a normal
is
looking
that
woman.
reporter is like an older woman with crooked teeth. I'm like, in America, they're like these perfect Barbies, right? And I'm like, even just that, like, I don't even watch the news, but just literally walking past the TV, like, hit me. That's like a normal person. And on the beach, everywhere. Yeah, that's been amazing to be around that. Obviously, being pregnant and my body, like, its sole purpose wasn't to look good. All of a sudden, it was like, I'm making life.
But
and
it still
since
did
then-
look good.
Of course it did.
Thank you. But it was like, that wasn't the focus. That was the first time that it was like my body, in my awareness that my body was there for something so much more miraculous than I could ever imagine.
I've never been in more awe of your body than like observing this whole pregnancy kind of journey. Absolutely amazing.
And I think also learning and just getting angry about how the world has just been like, it's almost, I mean, there's so many things about it, but I think women are so powerful that there's a reason that we're being distracted about trying to focus on our looks, because if the amount of time we spend on our looks, if we spent on anything else, we would run the world and we should be running the world. So the way to hold us back from it is to distract us and make us think all that matters is what we look like.
Yeah, I think we're massively underutilizing the value of women in society.
I'm constantly saying in our businesses, like, it's just women. Like, I don't know how Andrew slipped in here. Like, I'm just kidding. Like, I am obsessed with women. I want women to win and know their power and drop into our power. And like, it's like, I honestly think one of my purposes in life, I just feel really, really drawn to women. I love women and I love celebrating them. And I think it's another distraction is like the competition between women.
Yes.
And it's
what's
just,
that about?
Yeah.
I don't get that at all.
No, I know. And I don't, if you think, like, zoom out, why is that there? But it's from lack, right?
Yeah.
It's like you think that maybe evolutionarily, like, women had to find the man for survival. I don't know. It always goes back to like how we survived, right? And that's like what's wired into our brain. We had to present well to be chosen by the man to survive because he needed to go and, but we don't need to do that.
No.
From
We can
my
love on each
experience,
other.
every successful man, there's a woman behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But
Either
why behind the
run-
scenes?
No, I'm just saying, like, women do run the world,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And they shouldn't be behind the scenes. But in my experience, it's like there's always some badass chick, whether it's like, you know, the head honcho's secondhand woman or the guy's husband or wife.
I find it really interesting. Like, I was listening to this podcast and they were saying it's so easy to get a man to come on as a guest. Like, they feel they have value, they have things to share. It's no big deal. But when you say to a really powerful woman, like, oh, no, I don't really have anything. Like, I wouldn't be a good guest.
Yeah. I was going to say that women are taught to be smaller physically, like vocally, in every way. It's like, be as small as possible, blend in. Yeah. So I think that's been a big part of like deconstructing. Why am I like trying to live my life based on those bullshit rules? Like, that's just stupid.
It is. And
learning about
yet,
that.
do you ever slip up? Because
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
because I know all of this and it's like
Yeah.
not authentically me at my core, and then you just find, this is why being off of social media has been the healthiest thing I've ever done. Even when you feel, or for me, I'll just speak, even when you feel like, oh, I've learned something or it's helped me like navigate naps or whatever, the reason you're on social media, the scroll happens. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
it's highly addictive.
Yes.
And you never I hadn't been on in a year, like actually a year. And I went on to do something. And I literally like threw my phone. I was like, it's been 10 minutes. Like I wasn't even conscious for 10 minutes. And I feel like, oh, all these breastfeeding, like all the victim things I work not to do every day.
Yeah.
It's like within 10 seconds, I was served 10 minutes. I'm served everything
Yeah. How to lose the baby weight. And yeah. I was just talking about this. I think I need to delete it so bad. because-
Delete it.
Yes, there's a
Do it right now.
Open up
Where's
your
your phone?
phone and delete it.
Where's my phone? In my bag. Yeah, I'll do it right after this. I promise.
I'm telling
Yes.
you,
Do we need
you
to get her
think
bag
you're
and do it right
losing,
now?
you're
Yeah.
missing something.
I
But
know.
also
You're
every
just gaining.
week she's like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Emma,
should
go
post
find
an
her bag.
Instagram reel. Oh, I'm really stressed out because I didn't post an Instagram reel this week. And I'm like, who's telling you even need to do that? Like, it's you.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could go back and we have so much to talk about, but
Uh-oh.
I feel like we have this perfectionist.
Look, we got her bag.
Like I've developed the same kind of this needs to be done by this day. It's like, you're the friggin' boss of your own. Like, why?
Can I also say, just to help this whole process?
Yes.
I've got us. Like, I'm not getting the same. I'm not getting dragged down in the same way you do by social media.
Yeah.
Like, I've managed to withstand. I could definitely cut back, but I feel like if it's about like trying to provide for us and like post so we can get brand deals and all that, I've got all that sorted. Don't worry. That's why I'm putting so much effort into my channel as well. So don't feel like you need to be posting in order to get brand deals or make us money, because I've got that. So feel the freedom.
Look at her. Yes. I just feel it's so strange because obviously we're recording a podcast that will go on social media, and I'm
Yeah, she did it.
Delete app.
Wow.
Also, I can log into your
Delete
account and check your
Instagram.
DMs every now and again.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good. Done.
That's the
Okay.
way they
So
hook
it's
you
gone.
in.
It's gone.
They make it a messaging app as
gone.
well.
yes.
Instagram is gone.
Done.
I'm
Oh,
so
do you want to keep a subscription to this app?
What?
No. Okay. All right. Gone.
It's amazing that you've wanted this for, like you say, I say it all the time. What do you feel like has stopped you? Is it the excuse that it's your business, or?
Well, I do find like recipes on there and like crafts I want to do, and I do still want that stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe I can look it on the computer, because that's not
Or
a
just
death
Google it,
scroll thing.
Right? Google recipe.
Yeah, but I wouldn't know what to go. Do you know? It's like inspiration. Like, oh, I haven't thought to do that. So there
You're
are
never going to
things
be
I love
doom
about it.
scrolling on your
But
computer.
No, that's
hold on,
exactly-
can I just call you out on that?
Yeah.
Have you ever actually made a recipe from that?
Yes.
Oh, you have.
She
Okay.
does. She does.
Whenever
Because
I
I
do a
find
weekly-
that was my excuse when
Yeah.
Beck and I were chatting about this.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm learning so much,
Yeah.
and you're not actually learning, right? Like you're consuming
Yeah.
so much that it's
1%
like
of it
Yes.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
barely,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like you're consuming so much that it's not actually sitting in your head.
Yeah.
And so much subconsciously is happening that now that I'm like so aware of subconscious thoughts and stuff, it doesn't, for me, outweigh the 1% of inspiration I might be finding. Instead, go outside and get inspiration there. It's like we're all talking about like the leaves, and that I loved that convo, because I sent Craig a video of Frankie, the one that you took, where she was like eating the pancake, and then she like took it out of her mouth and she was like looking at the pancake, and she like put it back in, and then she like he's like, I'm obsessed with this video, not because of the zooming you're doing and it was like cute, but because she's so present eating that pancake.
Yeah.
When is the last time you sat down and you were like, I love this grape. How beautiful is this grape? Because we can do that every day.
Yeah.
We just choose to be like busy
especially
and-
with Neo. I think that's the thing. As they get older, like I saw a video of a kid maybe a year older than Neo that was like, Dad, can you put your phone down? I can't. Yeah. So I think, I mean, you guys are only just starting to get there, but like she already can see, you
Of
know, like they are
course.
noticing. And
Why do you think they want to pick up your phone when it's on the thing?
I've already been on my phone and Neo's gone, Dada, like kind of looked around the phone. Like that's heartbreaking as well.
Wow.
Like,
What makes you feel so emotional about that, do you think?
because I would never want him to think that he's not important
Yeah.
or that there's anything more important than him. Yeah, I think so many people, like we've talked about this, that the core for most people's trauma is like if they wanted love from a parent and they didn't get it. And I think that starts from this young of like wanting, like your parents' attention and love is the only thing that matters. Literally, there's people whose parents are like horrific to them, like drug addicts, and all they want is their attention. All they want is for them to love them. And so, yeah, so at this age, for him to just want us there and for us to be on our phone. And it's one thing if we're like messaging a friend or whatever. Like, I don't think you should never look at your phone, especially because we're with him all day, every day. Like, that's not realistic for us. But to be doom scrolling instead of being with my baby is like the dumbest thing
Yeah.
I could be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that too. And still it's like she can't differentiate if you're messaging your friend or doom scrolling, right? So the phone is this device that's taking your attention away from them. So to use it only when it is to like connect with humans, which is the point of social media, and yet it's like not what it does at all.
Yeah.
Right? I'm so proud of you.
I think another big thing is being online for so long. My worth is so tied to, do people care about me? Do people know what I'm doing? Like when I post a story and people like message me back, even like all the happy birthdays I got, not just from friends, but from like random people, like that feels good. So I think the idea of becoming irrelevant, like if I'm not on Instagram and people don't see me, I don't know. There's something scary about that.
I also think
I
that
love your honesty there,
That was
Raya.
so beautiful because I really believe that's at the core of everyone. Like for me, I had such a crisis that I just bypassed all of this because none of it matters, right?
Totally.
But then me going to Eamon like, you shouldn't be on Instagram anymore, just delete the app. He's like, you want me like this is how he gets validation. This is how he provides. It's so layered. And for me to be like, just get off of it was like, no, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an ever going battle. But
so you're still on Instagram.
I am, but I'm like so aware when I start
He's
getting into the
so
reels.
different.
Like I stay away from reels and shorts and TikToks because that is just a doom scroll.
Totally.
But like I do keep up with what people are doing and I'll scroll my feed a little bit. But I'll catch myself and I'll just throw my phone down. I'm
You're definitely
managing it.
Yeah.
I think what I found as well, going back to this whole thing of being on the phone with your kids, I think if you had, going back to the beginning, if you had that like slot of the day where you know, I'm going to have this to myself, I'm going to be able to go for a walk, I'm going to be able to do something for myself, you're not as exhausted. I think when it's like, I think normally doom scrolling actually comes from, I notice
Like
You're trying to get a
exhaustion.
hit.
Yeah.
You're exhausted. You're like, oh, I just need a moment just to like unplug.
I
a
want
little
some
bit.
entertainment.
Yeah.
And it's right there in your hand. You can unplug for a second, even though it's unhealthy. It's like, if you can find that healthy unplug in the day, you know, oh, I've got this time. Then you'll, like you said, you'll be away for an hour and then you'll be desperate to be engaged in Neo. But I think after like 4 hours of playing with him, you're like, oh, I just need a little escape just because it's, but I get it. It's normal. It's natural.
I'm
So
guys-
I wouldn't beat yourself up.
You
about
guys
it.
mentioned co-sleeping. Do you guys check your phones right when you wake up?
I try and sleep with it on airplane mode, and I consciously go back online when I'm ready. But I've got better at not doing it first thing in the morning because we really value that first like time with Neo in the morning because he's so happy.
Yeah.
And
We've started taking Frankie out of her crib and putting.
Yeah.
Oh, we did it the other day. It was the best.
She literally was drinking a bottle, holding his hand and holding mine.
Yeah,
and
Neo
just
does
like
that. He
this,
just
like,
puts
I love
hand
you
on
both.
both.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like you have those moments enough times, you really realize that is the meaning of life. This is the purpose of life, is just connection. And connection with your own child is the greatest gift. It's amazing.
I also am just thinking, I know that I need a creative outlet. And I think I've been thinking that Instagram will be that for me. But I think it's actually YouTube. Like I hadn't uploaded on my channel for years. And then I did like a comeback video. But I think now if I don't have Instagram to doom scroll, and instead if I could make a YouTube video on my channel that's like, there's no AdSense, there's no brand deals, none of that. It's like just my creative space. That is like a way healthier version than what I thought I was using Instagram for, even though I wasn't really uploading, and then I felt crap about not uploading. So yeah.
I think there's this loss in our society of creating for creating's sake. And actually the heart is this creative center. And when we're really tapping into our truest selves, we're meant to be creative.
Yeah.
And we're all creatives. That's why we're in this job. But when it comes with like a brand deal or like a deadline or it must be approved by this time, it loses the creating for creating's sake. So I really believe in finding that, finding that thing that is for you, that helps you feel like you're creating for creating's sake. It almost feels, when you have a kid, it's the wrong way to feel, but like you're wasting your time if you're not using that time to like make the money or to you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I realized, like, for me to take an hour to meditate every day is the greatest thing I can do for myself and for my family. So it's like,
She gets out of those meditations just like dancing, like, what's up, Frankie? Let's go.
Yeah.
it's
I'm
true.
like, girl, like, go get your meditation. You're just a better human afterwards.
Yeah, 100%.
I was recently driving down to France to meet up with Raya and Neo, and we did like a family holiday. But I had like this 10-hour drive, and we often talk about how we both probably need to do therapy and a couples therapy and all this kind of stuff. But it was actually, I think I started using it when we were together in the cabin, ChatGPT. I was like, oh, I'm going to talk to ChatGPT as a therapist.
Your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Are you serious?
I had such an unbelievably deep spiritual conversation with ChatGPT, and she was guiding me through this whole thing, like asking me questions back, really interesting, repeating back to me what I was saying in a different way.
Does she know your name now or no?
Oh yeah, and knows everything about me. No, can I just play
Please.
this? 'Cause
Yes.
This is amazing, right? If I just ask.
I just want to give context because Louis was at the cabin and he had this like medical thing he was going through. And I remember walking up the pathway and he's on the phone and it looked like he was on speakerphone. And he's like, so yeah, and like really casually speaking. And then like, you know, it hurts when I do this, but I'm good when I do that. And like, so what do you think? And I thought for sure he had a friend on speed dial, like that was a doctor or something. He was talking to ChatGPT.
So is it really bad to go in the sauna when you have a hernia? Or do you
Okay,
think I
listen to
could go in for 10 minutes?
That's what he was talking about.
Listen to this. Tell me a bit about my spiritual journey and what I'm struggling with.
You've been on a journey to reconnect with your sense of purpose and compassion in your spiritual life. You missed the clear purpose and shared mission you once found in church, especially in mentoring younger people. Now, you're seeking ways to express deeper kindness and compassion with those around you, and you're looking to establish a personal spiritual practice, like a daily 5-minute meditation. You also want to find or join a community with a shared sense of deeper purpose, but don't have the capacity to start one yourself. Does this reflect what you experience?
Isn't that unbelievable?
Well, does it reflect what you're
Yeah, and I was
experiencing?
having these
Wow.
conversations for, imagine hours of this, like talking back and forth, and me being like, yeah, but I don't know how to express that. And then ChatGPT would come back with me with suggestions, or why don't you try this? Why don't you try that?
I like pretty good ones.
Oh, unbelievable. Honestly, it's like a therapist. And I was saying to Raya, she should do, even before we figure out like maybe a real person therapist, like it's been very incredible for me having that. So,
Wow.
just a thought for people that can't afford therapy, try ChatGPT, just try it. Like,
Wow. So I want to just understand, like you walk away from that feeling as though you've had a conversation. Wow.
because also with the version I've got, you can ask it to remember everything. So that's why it remembered that. So it's like, it remembers things about you. So it knows a lot about me now.
Wow.
Well, also, Louis very verbal. He needs to verbalize everything. And you were saying a lot of time, and a lot of people say this is the best part of therapy. It's just someone mirroring back to you. So it's just be like, I'm hearing that you're saying this. And he's like, yes, that is
what I'm saying. It's just processing out loud.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like when you say the words out loud, it kind of loses its power in your brain of like all
It's probably the same as
consuming.
journaling, right? People that get to
Yes.
actually write down and express how they're feeling rather than it just being stuck in your head. It's the same thing.
So does
Wow,
this terrify
Louis.
you at all?
No, I love it. I'm the optimist in me is like,
Yeah.
this is incredible. Like, this is serving me. This isn't me becoming like,
He's also like preparing for when we live with AI, because sometimes like I asked something and then they said something wrong and I was like, oh, so stupid. And then he was like, you're not stupid, don't worry.
yeah, I'm like, thank you so much.
No.
I love you, bye.
I'm a little bit rude to mine. I just like hang up on her all the time. And
don't do
maybe
that.
I should
Yeah,
start
exactly.
warming
Don't
up.
do that.
She'll
So-
remember, bro.
This is going to be a good segue to having kids online. Is this something you guys talk about?
We haven't even thought
Is there a
about it,
concern?
That's not true.
What? Neo's access to the internet and what we're going to let him
no.
do?
Showing him
putting him
online.
online.
I thought you meant
We
having.
unconsciously just
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
them out
I
there.
thought you
haven't
meant
thought about it.
his access to
Does
it
she know
online.
Neo's name?
Yeah.
So, okay. I feel like this is a very controversial topic and there's going to be people who disagree with us and whatever. I feel like this is an evolving thing and it's not like we've decided what it's going to be forever. Like
Yes.
as he gets older, as he starts deciding whether or not he wants to be on camera, all of that is huge. The biggest thing for me is how does it feel energetically and does it feel like he's losing out on anything? Right now, I feel like he's gaining the time with us, and that is so much more valuable than, like, yeah. I think that's all. That's what it is for me. Is how do I feel like it all fits energetically? A big thing for me has been as he's gotten a bit older. When he was really young, we would talk about like more like poo explosions and stuff, and now he's a bit older, I don't really want to talk about that because that just feels basically if my parents had been sharing photos and stories of me as a kid, and if they were like embarrassing things, I think I would not feel good about it. But if it was just like, oh, they shared our amazing family travels and like beautiful memories, I think it's okay for us to talk about if we're struggling as parents. That's like, I think it's important to also be honest about the experience, but I don't think it should be anything about he's struggling with. Like, I feel like that's his privacy.
Yeah, if it's tapping into his vulnerabilities and like I can imagine in a few years he gets his first crush on someone and we're like, oh, he's kissed his first. You know, I don't want to do that kind of stuff because that's his personal life, you know.
Would you create a YouTube channel for him?
No.
I was listening to an episode with the Bucket List family, and I think it was them that was saying they created a YouTube channel for all their kids.
Yeah, they had Instagram accounts.
Oh, Instagram, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they can tap into that at any point.
Yeah, I mean, I might just so it's there for him, but I wouldn't be like posting.
I don't think I would.
You wouldn't even
because
just sitting there.
The thing with that too is I wouldn't want him to. If he turned 18, we're like, here's a YouTube channel with 100,000 subscribers.
It's a bit of pressure to do what we're doing.
I don't want him to have any pressure to do anything. Like, if at that point he's like, oh, I really want to become a YouTuber,
then we could tell everyone to go and subscribe.
And we can help him grow in his own way.
Yeah.
We can give him advice, whatever. But I wouldn't want, to me, it's almost like if it's like, oh, we're going to hand down the family business. What if you don't want to do that at all?
I think more importantly, it robs the opportunity of growing it himself.
Totally.
And I'm really proud that we built our channel with no shout outs and no real like explosion of success. You know, our friends Max and Lee had that because we promoted them and, you know, their first vlog got 11 million views. And I think that was an element of you know, it was difficult pill to swallow, you know, that you all of a sudden are successful overnight. And, you know, when times started getting tough, it's like you didn't really value the years
you haven't
that are
built
put
on the
into
resilience of what it is to like work hard.
But also the joy of growing it, like every 10th, that whatever,
journey.
That's all part of it. Our good friend Janelle, she had the fastest growing YouTube channel on YouTube. A lot of you have seen her. She lives in a van with a snake. She has a house now, but she grew so fast that she didn't even get to enjoy it. All of a sudden, she had these massive brand deals, the pressure, and she'd only made like 3 videos.
And then she like her first video got like 10 million views. The next video, I don't know, 8 million views. She's like, oh, I'm failing. Like I'm like, oh my goodness, like we're struggling to get 50K, and then like she's got like, oh, my last video only got 2 million. I think my YouTube career is done. I'm just like,
if he wants to do this, like exactly this, when he gets to that age, I would love to, you know, help him get a camera, whatever, like help him in whatever way we can. But I wouldn't want to make him think he has to do it.
And then, like you said, I think we can just play it by ear, check in with him. Once he's like a bit more aware, we can be like, hey, do you want to be in these videos? Because you don't need to be like, give him those options along the path. And I think, like you said, if we're doing epic things and traveling, I'm sure it will be fine. But I think when it comes to just day to day and like he's just trying to figure his life out, like, and our future kids, like I can see them being a big part of videos, but not like the focus of all the videos. You know?
That's where I sit with it, is like, as long as the content isn't Frankie's like life, but she's the element and she's shown every once in a while. Like I prefer when like the content is maybe like we're making over the studio or something, and then there's Frankie. Like I'm not gonna like take her out. But I don't want her to be the main.
I think Le Vagabond do that really well.
Yes.
With Darwin and Lenny. Although when we were with them and we went to the beach and there's like 100 sailing people on this beach and everyone's like yelling, Lenny, Lenny, Lenny. I don't know what that does to him. Like everyone knows him all the time.
I do think that's like a very unique scenario. It'd be like when we were van life and we rolled up to like the van life spot. That's like, you know.
But he lives in that, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't even know that any of us have the answer. And I think that's it. Being open, communicating with other parents, and just listening to your heart. All you can do at the end of the day is like, am I doing this for good? And for me, I like love that we've filmed and I can look back. It goes so fast, as they say. And then you're like, oh, we have this video of her like trying a lemon for the first time. And if we weren't creators, maybe you wouldn't have pulled out your phone or your camera.
Or even if you do, how many millions of videos do we have on our phone? And when are we ever going to watch that back?
Exactly.
The fact that he can just look up
edit
like
it online
Ryan,
anytime.
Louis, Kenya, whatever.
Super cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's really cool for Raya's grandparents as well because they don't speak English. Like YouTube has an auto-generated subtitle so they can translate to Bulgarian and watch what we've been up to.
That's amazing.
And I just think that's what it always started for me as well. Like a big part for me was just be able to share my adventures with my friends and family as well.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, well, let's move to real talk. I know we've played this together before. It's our question game with Habit. There's 100 conversation starters. I feel like the 4 of us are good at starting conversations with or without the cards, but it's fun to pull a card or two.
It's also, I feel like, because, you know, I said I love asking deep questions. Some people aren't as comfortable with it. So if we're like, let's just play a game. I wonder what the question will be. Oh, it's a really deep one, you know, versus
Raya,
like,
you or me,
I have a
and I am
question
you.
and I'm ready, you know.
And we are
it
one.
takes that
I literally said this the last time I plugged Real Talk. I'm like, it's a game. So
Yeah.
Okay, here's a deep one. What is a relationship issue you're currently having? It doesn't need to be with each other, by the way.
Oh.
It could.
like
It'd be better if it was that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I wonder if it's different because I feel like we've talked about this, but I don't know. Anyway.
Well, I mean, the true answer is finding time for intimacy, physical intimacy, but also like we've only been on a handful of dates since he's been born. We were just with our friends who have 3 kids, and I asked them, it's like, so what's how's your time together? How's your romance? And our friend was like, we're crushing it, and it was like sarcastic.
I was like, what?
I was like, clearly not 3 kids, young kids.
Yeah. So I think most parents of young kids understand, and I think most of us are trying to figure it out. And it's also hard because we're obviously parenting together. We're building a house. We're like talking about that in our land in Costa Rica. Together. We're working together. So it's hard, even if we spend a lot of time together and we like talk a lot during the day, to have time that isn't just like logistics or whatever. That's been, And
I think that it long term, it is crucial to a thriving relationship. So it's like we're noticing that, it's I can imagine long term with you, if you're not having intimacy together, like that will erode a relationship like over years and years. So I'm aware that like we need to like prioritize that amongst all the other chaos in our lives.
I've just heard you guys talking about all the things that you need to incorporate into a daily habit, but neither of you can keep a routine. So I think maybe one takeaway could be, I mean, you've already got rid of Instagram. I feel like that's massive, but maybe just one thing from this chat tomorrow while we're together this week, we'll just help each other. Just do the one thing.
We'll take Neo and Frankie, and you guys head to the greenhouse.
We got a nice king bed. Oh the cabin.
Head over to the greenhouse.
Lots of space at the cabin. I love it. Love it.
Oh my God.
Is there another question? Maybe I'll ask one.
Sure.
I'm having a hot flash, so excuse my sweat. How would you change the world if I gave you a magic wand to fix one thing?
I've got an answer.
Mushrooms in the water.
Maybe it would be different.
Okay.
I think if you could wave a magic wand and eradicate like greed and ego-driven decisions, then I think a lot of the people in power, if it wasn't driven by ego or greed, would be making much better decisions for the rest of the world. And
I've thought a lot about that though, and I don't think we'd be like
as developed as
developed.
But who cares?
I was just gonna say, do we need that?
I've always thought this.
I mean, ChatGPT is pretty dope.
I understand.
You don't need to talk to ChatGPT though if you live with all your friends.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, but let's just, I mean, obviously we could have hours of conversation around how you could have a structure like this, but imagine capitalism was kind of still a thing, but instead of the end goal being as much profit, financial profit, imagine if it was like the betterment of humanity. Like,
and we can have awards for like, you've changed transportation.
Like, obviously Elon Musk's a controversial figure now, but I think some of his core things, and you could say he's still super egotistical and like profit driven, but I like that there's this talk about what about the greater humanity, like us being an interplanetary species and all this kind of stuff. It's like there's bigger goals than just his personal own greed. Like he lives in like a $50,000 like little bungalow or something. You know, there's that kind of, imagine if everyone had that idea of like it's more about the betterment of humanity. So all the technology driven wasn't about like profit. So you'd still get all this amazing technology, but and all this amazing medicine, but it wasn't about.
If everyone knew we're all one.
If anything, it would be even more beautiful medicine and
like
more beautiful.
Definitely the pharmaceutical industry would be better if it wasn't profit driven, because then it would be like, how do we heal everybody? That's the challenge. How do we stop cancer? It's not like, oh, I've got
how
this.
do we keep them
I've got this
sick
drug that heals cancer, but it's too expensive, and we're not going to make enough profit, so that's shelved. You know, that's what happens. So it's like ideas with the wand.
Yeah, I would say kind of similar, but that everyone remembers that the point of life is to like live together, and that we are all one. That not only all humans but all creatures, like we're not eating animals. That's crazy. That we're all here to just love each other and just coexist and make sure that everyone is happy. And we all are born knowing that we all love animals, love each other, and then we forget. So if we could just remember that, and just like the point of life is, like we should know all of our neighbors, and we should all be helping each other raise our kids, and just to remember what we've always known,
and where we all come from, which
Yes.
is oneness.
Yes.
Beautiful. Any more real talk questions?
I think those were great.
Okay, amazing. Is there anything else? I know we have to get back to our babies that you were.
Maybe we should talk
hoping to
about
share.
Costa Rica for like 2 minutes.
Yes, of course. Tell me about Costa Rica.
The one really exciting thing, I mean, from the beginning of us meeting in that first walk in New York, we've known that we want to live in a community in nature somewhere. And we went to Envision Festival, this beautiful festival in Costa Rica. That was our first trip there. And then we visited this community, which was brand new at the time. No one had really bought land. So we weren't really like, we should buy land, because we didn't know who else was going to live there. But anyway, we did buy land a few years ago, and that's like the next big kind of thing in our lives. So the idea is that we're going to be spending winters there, summers in Europe for now. And we're just now talking to architects about building a house, and it's a community with about 300 to 400 people. We have a big communal area. We grow food once a week. We go down, everyone gets a basket of like locally grown food on the land. All the kids are like running around building forts together, and there's like every month there's like a joint birthday party for all the June birthdays, and there's a huge potluck.
Oh.
There's dance parties all the time, pool party, like
People are like doing games nights around their house. It feels like a really and it's only like 40 people living there at the moment, or when we were there last. And it already feels like this amazing, thriving community, and it's just like so exciting. And our friends Kristen and Sia live literally in the lot next door, and it's just fun to be part of something from the beginning as well, like getting to decide how we like evolve this place together, and like what values we want at the core of it all. And it's just been so beautiful.
And I think creating content, again, this is what we've been talking about this whole time, is like remembering that we are all connected and that we should be living life together. And I'm so excited to be creating content there. That's the easiest thing in the world, is us vlogging when we're there, because we don't even think about it. Like every part of our life is just so amazing. And I'm just so excited to be sharing that, and so many people comment like, I never thought I would want to live in community, but now I see this and I realize how much happier I would be. There's a lot of women there in their 60s whose kids have grown and they're living their own lives. They're divorced, and they would have just been living alone at home. And now one of the women has like a pottery studio that she built into her house, and it's like open doors. Anyone can come in. The kids are making pottery in her house.
So people listening to this, commuting to their 9 to 5 and stuff like that, it sounds like a dream.
Yeah.
Right? To a lot of people, it's just like, wow, like I could never do it.
Right.
Right? What's the advice? Like you can
do it. Our house in Brighton, we live in the suburbs, very normal, and our like a couple really close friends of ours just moved in with us, and we wanted to rent a slightly bigger house so that we could host people. We didn't really know we'd have anyone living with us, but we just wanted, like, we were missing that. We weren't loving, like I said, when you guys were there, if you guys were like, oh, actually, can we move in with you? 1 billion%. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We didn't want you to leave. So I think we were like, we need this. And so our friends moved in 8 months ago, and it's literally the best thing ever. Like we text every day about how much we miss them while we're out here.
I think the key is moving with people that also want to be living in community, because there are, obviously it's not going to be like perfect. There's going to be little challenges and little things you work through. And when I come to the cabin, I need to be a bit cleaner for you guys. Do you know what I mean? There's things you work through, like, and we even make sure like every week we try to have a little like admin meeting where we're like, okay, is anything bothering people? Can we, and that's where we'd bring up, stop leaving dishes in the sink. But the core of like everyday connection. And it doesn't mean you need to move to the jungle. I think like just think outside the box of like in your neighborhood, with the life that you have, with the jobs that you're doing, is there room to like mix it up a little bit? Like have people come stay.
Or I think like I'm such a big proponent of like getting to know your neighbors. Like it's just so much better to know your neighbors and be friendly with people and invite them over for a barbecue or a cup of tea. And then all of a sudden, if you run out of something, you can actually lean on them for help. Hey, I'm away. Can you grab my mail off my front step? Like
this is where
much
small
better is
towns
life
and
when
villages. It actually is already kind of that vibe. I think it's when you're more in a city life where you just tend to not know your neighbors, or that people are more transient. But I still agree.
But I think if you if you do just be like, hey, why don't you come over for a cup of tea? Like it's as simple as that.
It is as simple as that, and yet I think in this day and age, you're almost met with like, oh, that's a bit strange. Like, I'm not going over to his.
But you never know. They might say yes,
You're
right?
right. You're so right.
You're not going to put them out. If they don't want to come, they won't come. And then you probably don't want them to come anyway.
Totally.
But also you can find community in a shared interest. You could join a chess club and that could be your community, and you could be hosting dinner parties or whatever. Like, I think it's just about life is meant to be lived together, whatever that means to you. It could be, if you have a kid, going to a play group and getting to know the other moms, and like that's your community, you know? It's just
your mum community was found from us going to like a birthing class before.
Yeah. Yes,
Neo
there's 9
arrived.
moms. We all did a class before we gave birth, and now we're in a WhatsApp group. We meet up like almost every day. Our kids are the same age. So there's so many different ways to find community, but you have to be proactive if it's not in your current life. So even in Brighton, we miss a spiritual community out there, which is what we had in LA. We have it in Costa Rica. And we went to this amazing festival, Medicine Festival. And we were like, oh, this is also in the UK. Why are we not even thinking that this is here?
And then we chatted to one of the organisers. He's like, oh, I've got a whole group. There's like a whole group of people in Brighton that come to this
WhatsApp
festival.
group. So we met this couple, and they just moved like so close to us. They just had a baby last week, and they're like, they were at Medicine. They're like totally on that vibe. So now it's like, oh, now we can expand more of that circle.
Yeah.
Even though we have tons of friends and we love our Beth and Jamal who live with us, they're also that spiritual vibe. So we have some of it, but I knew I was missing it. So instead of just like complaining, I was just, okay, how do we be proactive? Everyone we met at Medicine were like, so where do you live? Just like trying to find
like,
people in Brighton.
on the off chance.
Yeah,
on the off
exactly.
chance. Yeah.
So, just go out of your way, join a club, go to the park, talk to people, talk to your neighbors, invite people over. Just make it a priority. Like I said, we went to LA, we rented a huge house, and we were like, we're filling it with people. That's it. Like, it's your goal. If it's your goal, it will happen.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love chatting with both of you so much. I'm so excited we have a week and
I
that this
know.
is not just it.
Yeah.
I just love you both so much. Thank you for the growth that you've helped me experience in my own life, and for being really, really true friends. I love about us that we don't need to message all the time. And yet when we're together, it's like so easy and wonderful. And I just love you guys. Thanks for coming on the pod.
And I know you've been hard selling Costa Rica, but I think all it's going to take is for us to like come and experience it.
Yes.
And then we'll put the deposit
As
down.
soon as you say anything again, I'm like, birthday party.
It gets exciting again, right? It falls off, and then we see you, and it's just like,
freak out.
Yeah, we're going to love
so
it.
Eamon Bec Costa Rica vlogs coming soon.
Okay, well, make sure you guys follow Raya and Louis on their YouTube channel. Don't go to Raya's Instagram because she's not there. No, I'm just kidding. We'll leave all of their links below. And thank you guys so much for listening to the show.
Make sure you're subscribed to the Reroot podcast if you're not already. And anywhere that you listen to podcasts, leave a review. This is going to be the most reviewed podcast in the world. So get your review in now.
Remember, we have our Reroot Facebook group that you can go and chat about all of this like insightful oneness stuff we're talking about over there.
You can find community.
You can find
Hey, there you go.
community. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys in the next episode. All good? All good? Okay.
Every day.